ABC Sport.
On ABC Sport, this is the AFL.
Route to steady and finish.
It's close to the goal line and might have got there.
Another one.
Sit back, relax, witness the greatest. It don't get better than this.
Rampy from 55 and right on the way home. Huge fend off and kicks the goal. The skipper off the step finishes.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
Right foot strike. He's got it. Oh, the home fans like that. Takes a bounce. Unguarded. Goal square. He's got it. Reed's going to go for goal. Oh, my goodness. That truly is remarkable.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
On radio, on digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
You take a seat, 'cause it don't get better than this.
As the ladder stands right now, Carlton are 3 games outside of the 8. If the Blues are to stay in touch, they cannot drop today's game against the last place West Coast. The Blues, after the bye, beat the Bombers by 8 points. They were not that convincing. While West Coast would know last weekend in Bunbury, they could have beaten North Melbourne if they'd kicked straight in their 10-point loss. Certainly, recent results favour the Blues. They've thumped West Coast the past 5 times they've met, by 71 points in Adelaide earlier this year, by 65 points at Perth Stadium last year, and that was without Charlie Curnow, by 71 points, by 108 points, by 63 points the last 5 times they've played. It's been all the Blues. In fact, the last time West Coast won was at the SCG in the COVID-affected year of 2021. That seems a long, long time ago. West Coast do have a debutant coming into the side. One of their players they picked up in the mid-season draft, Tom McCarthy, makes his debut. He's the 6th debutant for the Eagles in 2025. How can Carlton make sure they just get the points and get back on the plane? Clint Wilden with you in an overcast Perth Stadium. It's a slight rain at the moment around the ground. We'll see how that pans out. It was a lot heavier last night. Mitch Turner's alongside me. More from Mitch in a moment. Let's get the thoughts of our experts, though. Peter Bell is back. It's double delight here in the West for us. 2 games in the one weekend. Billy, good to see you. And joined alongside him, so we've got dual premiership players everywhere in the box. Chris Waterman, welcome to you both. What are we expecting?
Good on you, Clint. Well, I'm expecting another solid performance from West Coast, although their win-loss doesn't reflect it. Their last month, Muddy, has been pretty good, and I thought in most areas of the game they were all over the Kangaroos last week, bar the scoreboard, just some horrible accuracy, but they owned territory, they owned inside 50s, and I thought it was a pretty solid foundation for a really competitive effort today against Carlton.
Yeah, the supporters have been frustrated the last couple of years, the big hidings, but now they've become a frustrated supporter group because they probably should have won 2 or 3 more games. So it's a big turnaround. Yeah, I mean, you don't know which Carlton's going to turn up, so you wouldn't be able to sit here and confidently say that Carlton are going to win this one easy, that's for sure. And West Coast Young Brigade have come to the fore the last few weeks, so looking forward to it. Should be a good match.
It's been great to see Hewitt, Reed have real impact in the last month or so particularly. And the other thing that we've spoken about is the impact that Brockman and Liam Ryan have had going into centre square. So that's a point of difference for West Coast, and they'll need it against a really good clearance side in Carlton. Carlton's forward issues are well documented, but they can really win clearance, so that'll be something that Matty Flynn and Bailey Williams and the West Coast mids will have to be on guard for.
Yeah, and just 2 other players, Tommy Cole and Duggo, have been very good the last 2 or 3 weeks, so we're copping a lot of flack social media-wise for being out of form. Their form's been terrific, and unfortunately Coley's got that little injury. He's out for 2 or 3 weeks, and Duggo's the one that I'll keep an eye on here today. I wouldn't be surprised if they push him up into the middle of the ground with McCarthy coming in, but probably slide into that half-back line. Duggo is probably the one that could go midfield.
One of the big questions, of course, we'll find out in a moment who goes to Charlie Curnow. Returns of 2 goals, 10 goals, 9 goals and 5 goals the last time he's played against the West Coast Eagles. Mitch Turner, toss of the coin. Which way's it gone?
Oscar Allen and Patrick Cripps out there. Allen won at the Eagles will kick to the City end. Carlton to the Graham Farmer Freeway end.
Bridget Lacey's downstairs for us on the boundary. Bridge.
Yeah, it's gloomy down here, Clint. You said light rain, but it's been a little bit more than light and rain before the game, so it's going to be a bit heavy underfoot for the players, but shouldn't be too bad. Not much of a breeze, if anything, favouring the Graham Farmer Freeway end.
Ready to get underway. Round 14 action from Perth Stadium. Carlton v West Coast. Flynn against De Koning. Flynn followed up the ruck work. De Koning, one possession though. Handball to Hewitt. Then to Chera. Now to Cripps, being held by Baker. Umpire said play on inside 50. Cripps goes off the deck. Curno's first involvement. He overruns the ball. Jimby gathers for West Coast to Brock. Now to Harley Reid. Right back pocket. Kicks out towards the wing, and it favoured no one bar Nick Haynes of the Blues. The former Giant is having a solid year for Carlton. Reinvented himself. He'll have possession. Send it back inside the forward 50. Looking for a target. Cripps was there. Brock punched it away. Akers in the pocket. Hunt sees him out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. Worth mentioning, on the money, Liam Duggan started at the centre bounce.
Straight to Paddy Cripps.
Almost a minute played. No score yet here. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
And it's Ruben Ginbey standing alongside Curnow, just outside the goal square for the Blues. Farmer Freeway, end of the ground. Throwing inside forward 50 for Carlton. De Koning got it down. Chera was harassed out of it. Ball still there to be picked up. Baker does. Chincotta wraps him up. Takes him to ground. Ball up. Left forward pocket for Carlton. Umpire throws it up. De Koning again wins it down into the corridor. He's trying to manufacture something here. Cripps goes in. Stolen away by the opposite 9 in Reid. Got the arms free as well. Has done really well for the Eagles. Kicks towards the outer side of the ground. Binns. The late inclusion gets there first for the Blues to Sard, and he'll go right back to half back, where it's marked here by Nick Haynes. Under a bit of pressure. Not a great kick. Ryan went towards him. Silvani has to go back. Got nudged over the top of the football by Allen, who picked it up for the Eagles. Gave it to Cripps. Sends it towards full forward. No one could take the mark. Trying to work his way through here was Brockman. Allen picks it up. Bounces it cleverly along the ground. Ryan couldn't take it. Lost his boot in the process. And he goes to ground. Picked up by Wiedering. Clearing kick for Carlton towards left half back.
A win for Charlie Curnow. Nudged Jimby away from the ball. Kicks up the wing. Cripps. Knocked away from him by Duggan. Falls to Hewitt. Breaks the tackle of Hunt on centre wing. Kicks towards the forward 50. Coming out to meet it on the slide was Williams. Couldn't take possession. Fantasia gathered though for the Blues. Has a lead on in the pocket. Diving attempt by O'Keefe. Couldn't take the mark under pressure from Harry Edwards. Another boundary throw in where we were about a minute ago. Left forward pocket for Carlton.
Obviously going to be a key matchup, isn't it? Jimby on Curnow. Jimby did a good job on Cameron for 3 quarters and ended up conceding 5 in the end, wasn't it? Yeah.
They stand in the middle of the 50 right now. It's O'Keefe and Edwards in the goal square. The 2 rucks, Matt Flynn, Tom De Koning. Jostle for position. De Koning over the top, tapped it straight down though to the Eagles, and Baker. A bit of a shank of a kick out towards left half back. It's gone about 60 metres. It stayed in as Curnow was appealing for insufficient intent. The ball never went out. Jimby went and got it. Gave it to Marek. His kick wasn't great up the wing. Haynes, another possession. Low handball out to Lord. Kick up towards half forward. Curnow and Jimby go at it again. The Eagles win out. Reid. This is Harley. Handballs back to Bo Allen. Gets the start today, the young Eagle. To Graham. They didn't go trying to give it to Reid. He was bumped off it. Hewitt's in there for the Blues. Handball back, and Haynes will come through for Carlton.
He taps it back, having to turn. Eventually getting away from one as Carroll runs into the middle of the ground. Kicks inside forward 50. Front position O'Keefe. Couldn't mark. Swirl came from Edwards at the back. Knocked forward by Chincotta. De Koning picks it up and he kicks the goal. Threw it on the boot. Luck was a fortune. And he found the major opening at the Farmer Freeway end of the ground. Carlton with the first. It comes right on 4 minutes of the opening term. Well done to the big fella in De Koning.
They've deserved that, Carlton. They've had territory, 5 inside 50s to West Coast 1. And some great dexterity from the Carlton ruckman. Not an easy ball, but got it to foot very quickly. Kicked the first of the game.
They've got all the balance set up, Ellie. I see Nick Haynes is just setting up behind the play, but West Coast haven't got one behind. I think it's Tim Kelly going up with the ball, but they're two entries outside defensive 50 that have mounted to nothing, so it's not quite got the balance right outside.
A much sought-after signature for a couple of clubs. Tom De Koning, he makes an impact early. It's a free kick in the middle. from the centre stoppage. Patrick Cripps, the Carlton captain, is the recipient. Players starting to flood forward ahead of him. Stands alongside the centre circle. Elects to go long inside the forward 50. In front, Flynn flies. Couple of grabs. Nice mark by the Eagles ruckman. Dropped in the hole in front of Charlie Curnow and then handballs it to Curno's opponent on the run in Ginbey. Ginbey up the wing, flying from behind Ryan. Couldn't mark. Cripps was there for Carlton. Handball to Wiedering. Goes backwards by hand to Hollands. Just to run away from Allen and then kicks inside the centre square to Carroll and now on to Chera.
Chera through the centre circles, hands it off to Sard. Sard with a big kick towards full forward. Front position, Ginbey. And he's been given the free kick, been held by O'Keefe. Hudson O'Keefe giving away the free kick, and Ginbey will stand at right full back.
O'Keefe's a very large man. Ginbey had to use all of that body strength there and did it well.
It's beyond defensive, 50 towards right half back. Flynn in front of Sard. It's brought to ground and then hacked forward by the Eagles and hacked back from whence it came. Soccer inside forward 50. Haynes. Here's Curnow. Tries to snap from 45 out. Kicks a goal and he's missed the lot. It bounces inside the field of play though and tumbles across the boundary line for a throw-in right full forward for the Blues, who've kicked the only goal of the game so far. We've gone 6 minutes there, one straight 6. The Eagles yet to score. This is Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Flynn in the ruck this time against O'Keefe. The Blues got hands of ball down to Cripps. Little handball to Hewitt. Throws it on the left boot. Back to the top of the goal square to Koning. Flew. Should have marked it. Couldn't. Handball across though to Chera. He snaps it on his left and he misses everything. The former Docker, who knows plenty about footy out west, that local knowledge didn't help him on that occasion. It's out of bounds on the full and it'll be a free kick to Jack Hutchinson in the right back pocket for West Coast. Almost 7 minutes played. Carlton lead by 6 points.
The kick on defensive 50. Counted here by Sard. He's able to hand it eventually to Silvani. Comes back to Doherty. Involved in all of that was Hewitt. Doherty's kick inside forward 50. Tap back into the corridor by Curnow. Chincona tried to shovel a hand pass forward. Wanted Motlop. Stolen away by Baker though. His first hand pass was knocked to ground. He picked it up a second time. And here is the debutant. McCarthy going beyond defensive 50. The Blues will win it back again at left half forward. Getting it Hewitt. Gave it again to Haynes. Moves it short. Now in the hands of Fantasia. Fantasia looking to put it towards full forward. That's a huge kick. Won't quite be enough for a goal. And on the goal line, coming across in front was Ginbey. Got a fist to it. Doesn't rush it through. It goes across the face of goal and over the line for a throw-in.
Already getting quite a few in-out-in plays, Muddy. Well,
they're just not set up right, West Coast, are they? They're not quite organised at the moment.
Thrown back in once more. Both rucks missed it. Koning didn't lose his feet, though. Trying to tap it out the side. Here's Reid. Hands it straight over. Snap comes back towards goal. It's bouncing and missing across the face. Carroll almost saw what would be just a very lucky major. Not to be, though, a minor score. 1-1-7 the Blues. The Eagles yet to score. 8 gone in the opening term. If you'd like to get in touch, 0437 774 774 here on Sunday Footy on ABC Sport.
The Eagles go long to the wing from the kick out. Very long into Koning. Stands in front. Takes the mark. Umpire calls Harley Reid on the mark just back a couple of steps. The two long blonde-haired players in the headband. Inside 50 goes to Koning. Big fist came from behind from Edwards. Chincotta at ground level for the Blues was clean. Handballs out into the path of the skipper. Cripps snaps on his right.
Touched for sure.
And I think it was touched on the goal line by Sandy Brock. A long way from it, but from our angle it looked like he got a hand to it. And we have our first score review of the evening. Looking forward to him. And a clear fist by Sandy Brock.
Really should have done better, Pat Cripps. He was out, he had space and just got the ball a bit skinny. But you're right, Muddy. West Coast looking really disorganised.
Well, how did he get so free?
Yeah, that's right.
20 metres out from goal.
Carlton 1-2-8. The Eagles yet to score. 9 minutes played first term here at Perth Stadium. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Here's Liam Baker. Ball in hand in the goal square. Decides to go on a trundle and takes a bounce. And now we'll kick beyond defensive 50 towards right half back. Koning hit the deck. I see play on. Hutchison tries to work his way through. Got it to Reid. That's a good hand pass out to Hewitt. Doherty comes across. Spine smother from the blue. Ricochets over the boundary line. It's a throw-in right beneath our broadcast position on the northern wing.
He started well, Reid, but a couple of errant disposals in D50. One a kick that he could have done better with, and then a handball that he coughed up that gave Carlton a shot at goal.
Back into play. Coney takes it onto his chest. Works it on to Fantasia for the Blues. Kicks inside forward 50. Chindy was behind Curnow. The bounce favoured him. Was able to gather for the Eagles. Not a great kick to bounce past Marrick, but behind him was Baker, and he got run down. That's holding the ball. Chincotta got him. Carroll plays on quickly. Back inside forward 50. Can't find a target. Oh, and then a little fumble from Brock. Put him under real pressure. McGovern got him. Hands it off. A chance to run in on goal. And a goal for the Blues. Fogarty's got it. The wet weather with the hair right plastered across his face. He kicks the Blues second. 2-2-14. The Eagles yet to score. 11 gone in the opening term at a wet Perth Stadium. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner. Our experts, Peter Bell and Chris Waterman.
Yeah, they just looked fumbly. It was a poor decision by Liam Baker to hold on there. Then young Sandy Brock was just, he was under siege, but good pressure by Carlton. They're making West Coast look a bit silly at the moment, Belly. I think Tom DeConning is the one that's becoming a real headache.
Been
for
a real
West
factor.
Coast.
13 inside 50s to 1 at the moment. And you're right, it was a fumble from Brock, and Liam Baker just got nailed. Had too many options and got caught by the Carlton pursuer.
It was the opposite last week. It was the Eagles dominating the inside 50s. Here they go, their second of the day. Kelly out of the middle, goes deep, and it's off hands. Wiedering and Silvani there for the Blues. Knock it out of bounds. They dominated inside 50s last week. It took them 34 to get their first goal, and right now they are 11 behind already.
Yeah.
So can the Eagles be more efficient this week against the Blues? They have a stoppage inside forward 50. The ball will be spun back in. Bailey Williams against De Koning. Tap down to the front. Players crash in. Hewitt's there. So too Harley Reid for West Coast. Hollands through traffic did very well. Down to handball and a teammate. Now the Blues can release. Hollands kept running. Runs along the wing. Takes a bounce. Takes a second bounce. Needs to find a target. Kicks further up the field, and Edwards outpoints O'Keefe. Takes the defensive mark for West Coast and is able to play on to Dewar.
Dewar, not a great kick. It should be chopped off. Indeed it was. Hewitt worked in front. Akers off the deck, back to Hewitt. Someone to ride the attempted tackle. Gave it to Akers, to Hollands. Hand pass over the shoulder to Akers again on centre wing for Carlton. Pops a hand pass forward to Doherty. Now to Chincotta from centre half forward. Kick inside forward 50. McGovern marks. Good delivery. McGovern with his hands just in front of his eyes. Takes the grab. He'll be able to go back and kick on goal from 40 out. He'll start in line with the left-hand goalpost.
Well, if you're going to energise the ball from defensive mid, as West Coast did, Edwards with a play-on handball to Dewar, you've got to hit your target because you leave your defenders completely exposed, and that's exactly what happened. Carlton trampolined it off half-back, and McGovern has a shot at goal.
In he comes, Mitch McGovern. He liked it the moment it left the boot. He raised the right hands to the skies. And Carlton have got their third. What a start for the visitors. 3-2-20 to West Coast. Zip 0 zilch. 13.5 gone in the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Previously today, Port by 25 points over Melbourne. So back-to-back wins for the Power.
Well, the scoreboard's not lying to us. I mean, West Coast don't look like getting a score on the board at the moment, but Belly, the possession rate is 60-30. It's double out there at the moment, and we're just witnessing it. Carlton are just all over them with a fast start, which is not uncommon for them. They are poor in second halves generally, Carlton, but West Coast need to find a way just to hold this game up.
Had a fast start last week against the Bombers too, didn't they? The Blues?
9-3 in first quarters this year, despite their record, Carlton. So they are good starters. They just can't really finish. Can today be the difference? Harley Reid out of the middle, tackled by Cripps. Just gave the ball to Carlton. Hewitt to O'Keefe, to Doherty under pressure. Tumbles a kick towards centre half forward. Dewar came out to meet it. Ricocheted straight off Dewar to Cripps. Takes a few metres. Handballs to Chera. Over the top to Fogarty. But number 2, can he gather? He can. He snaps. He goals. Lockie Fogarty has 2. Carlton now have 4. And they are all over West Coast. 15 minutes into this game. It's Turner alongside Clint Wilden for ABC Sport. It's 4-2-26 for Carlton. The Eagles yet to score. Our experts are Peter Bell and Chris Waterman.
We have to win a clearance, West Coast. That'd be a good starting point. But Harley Reid actually got his hands to the ball, but Cripps dispossessed him, and then it was Cripps bolting forward who got a lucky ricochet, but had worked hard to receive that luck. West Coast absolutely smashed to this point of the game.
Inside 50s, 15-2 to Carlton. The clearance is 7-3. They've been absolutely shellacked. Disposal 68-31. All in favour of the Blues. From the restart, going up in the middle. Trying to win it down was O'Keefe. It's knocked out the back. Doherty got there for the Blues. Stolen away by Kelly. Free kick's going the way against Doherty for a throw. It'll come back here for Graham to take, and he'll steer it out towards right half forward. Here's Bo Allen. Takes a couple of steps inboard, and then we'll kick inside forward 50. Punch came from Silvani of the Blues. Kelly's able to get there. Got the arms free. Could get a hand pass away. Coming through, Carlton. Hollands had it. Got tackled immediately. No prior. Brockman got him one side. Hewitt the other. Ball up in the right forward pocket for the Eagles. Rare foray forward for West Coast. O'Keefe palmed it down. Too hot for Hewitt to handle. They're still able to clear here, Carlton, but only as far as Hutchison, originally from Binns. Working hard in the middle, but down the throat of the Eagle, who has it at right half forward. Out 70 from goal. 2 metres in from the boundary. Takes a couple of steps forward. We'll put it towards the teeth of goal. They come from everywhere. O'Keefe got a hand to it. Kelly lost his footing. Binns in his defensive goal square. It's an ugly-looking kick, almost chopped off by Alan. Fantasia was able to knock it in the direction, though, of Doherty, and he kicks straight down the throat, though, of the debutant in McCarthy. He'll spear the pass inside forward 50 and leading out to mark. Bailey J. Williams comes back into the side this week, and now with a chance to perhaps kick the Eagles' first goal of the game.
Well done, Tom McCarthy, first of all, but Michael Boss would be very displeased with Jackson Binns. Just take it over the line. You've got a 4-goal lead. You're under pressure, and you hack kick it from your goal line. Initially, I thought they'd got away with it, but in the end, West Coast have this shot at goal because of Binns' unwillingness to take it and concede a point.
Bailey J. Williams, 4-2 for the season. Back in the side this week. The kick's pretty good off the boot. It's through for West Coast first. From about 47 out, just better than a 45-degree angle to the left. He needed to give West Coast something and did. The Eagles are 1 straight 6. Carlton 4-2-26. We've gone nearly 18 minutes in the opening term, and West Coast fans will be delighted their team's on the board.
Yeah, well, there's one area of the game that Bailey Williams needs to work out. How can I have more of an impact when I'm not rucking? And that's what West Coast have been waiting for. If you can show us something better as more than a ruck and become more of a power forward. I mean, there was times here they were going in West Coast and he was not wanting to get physical. You're not going to get 4 or 5 goals a week laced out at this level. So it's good that he can lead up and get one and get him on the board.
Dual Premiership players Chris Waterman and Peter Bell, our experts for ABC Sport. Williams in the ruck, takes it, kicks it inside the forward 50. Big pack flies. Kelly overran it. Coming through, Hollands is tackled by Kelly and he tackles him high. So it'll be a free kick to Carlton and it'll go the way of Ollie Hollands. He's about 40 metres out from his own goal. City end of the ground. Decides to play on. Runs his 15. Kicks up towards the wing. Couple of big targets there. O'Keefe in front. Got a hand to it. Allowed Akers to run on, take possession. Bouncing ball up towards right half forward. Edwards was in front for the Eagles. Couldn't take possession. Now Lord for Carlton. Composed. Delayed the handball instead. Kicks it inside the forward 50 and Motlop gets free. The West Aussie, the Carlton Navy Blue, takes the mark on his chest. Set shot coming up from 45 metres out. Slight angle to the right.
And again, another example. We saw a few of these last night in the game between Fremantle and North. When you flush a crumb from a long down the line, it's just so dangerous. Shouldn't really happen. But Carlton were good enough to get it forward.
9 goals, 10 for the year. Jesse Motlop on his approach. He's very much a confidence player, is Motlop. And that won't help. He misses to the right. Just a minor score for Carlton. 4-3-27. The Blues. The Eagles are 1 straight 6. 20 minutes into the first term at Perth Stadium.
Debutant with the kicking duties. Carpy goes on a run, right back pocket. Reid tried to go very early before acceptances. He was just settling himself for a massive mark and stayed up too long, gave away the free kick. De Koning takes it, puts the Blues back inside forward 50. Baker leaping up in the air, punches it away, only as far as Lord, though, for the Blues. To Chera, to De Koning, back to Doherty. And having to backtrack here to Hollands in the centre square. Kicks into the right forward pocket. Getting a punch on it was Hunt. Knocked away by Flynn from Curnow. Just bounces away into the right back pocket. Marrick's able to gather. Goes looking for Reid. He does take the mark this time against De Koning. A bit of afters as well. Nothing doing according to the officials. And Reid just gets up, holding the back of the head.
Bit of money in their future bank accounts as well, I reckon.
For both of them, no doubt. No matter where they end up playing. Here's Harley Reid, kicking towards centre wing. Offhand, spills down to Graham, tackled by Chera, lost it, and emerges with Hewitt. Comes through the middle, Chincotta, then to Fogarty. Now onto Motlop, draws a player to him, pops one over the top to McGovern. McGovern stabs the pass forward, Williams marks. And he'll get 50 as well. Got knocked over after he took the mark, and that will bring him, well, to the very top of the goal square. He couldn't go any further forward. Because the 50 metres, he'd be about 7 rows back. Slick bit of play from Carlton. This should be their 5th. Zach Williams, 10-5 for the season. From right in front. The former Giant could throw it over. Instead, he puts it into the second tier, about 10 rows back. Emphatic kick to see the Blues to 5-3-33. It is all Carlton here in the West. The Eagles are 1 straight 6. 22 gone in the first. This is Sunday footy on ABC Sport. I don't know whether it was particularly necessary. The little nudge after the mark was taken by Williams from Jinby, giving away, making what was more than likely a goal, an absolute certainty, Belly Muddy.
Well, 4 of Carlton's goals have come from turnover, so West Coast inability to control the ball and they haven't had any layers of defence behind their ball movement, which is why Carlton have been able to just slice through them.
Yeah, they're playing fast footy, Carlton, which we know of. The 9 out of 12 first quarters they've won this year.
De Koning v Flynn again in the middle of the ground. Flynn taps it, looking to get into the path of Hewitt. Knocked away by Cripps. Ryan coming through, taken high. And I must say, I'm loving the long sleeve on Liam Ryan. He has ball in hand, middle of the ground. Has Dewar running past. Gives him the handball. Kicks inside the 450. Top of the goal square. Reid flew. Akers got back. Got a fist in. Lord there for Carlton. Able to handball it across to Carroll, who is run out of bounds in the left back pocket for Carlton. So we'll have a boundary throw in. Deep inside the Eagles. Forward 50. Just the 1 goal for them. 1 scoring shot so far.
Harley's in the market for a new car, I think.
He's been flying early today. All spun back in. Bailey Williams in front of De Koning. De Koning worked him out of it. Couldn't get a clear tap though. Cripps able to take possession for Carlton. Kicked it straight up in the air. Off hands. Coming through. Oscar Allen handball. A little hot for Hewitt. Couldn't take possession. Would have been a goal for the Eagles instead. Sard is able to clear defensive 50. Big pack flies. Free kick is awarded. And it's a block in the marking contest, I believe, and it's going the way of West Coast, and it's going the way of Bo Allen.
He'd be disappointed, Hewitt, because a goal was there for the taking and he just fumbled it, and I reckon he'd back himself to take that cleanly most times.
It was the non-controlling umpire who called that as well from about 50 metres away in the middle of the ground. As Allen moves it towards Marrick, who marks 52 out from goal, still at right half forward for West Coast, chasing their 2nd goal of the game. Long towards full forward, flying Bailey J. Couldn't get to it. There's a blue down as Chera worked it away. Ugly kick from Carroll. Knocked down again by Allen for the Eagles. Hand pass to Cripps in the right forward pocket for West Coast. Cripps decides to go for goal. It's across the face. Rain has got a little bit heavier from what I can see through the binoculars. A minor score to the Eagles, 117 to 5-3-33. Blues still in control. 25 minutes gone in the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport, on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and of course on the ABC Listen app.
Sard plays on fullback, takes a bounce, gets the woof as he kicks the ball up to the wing. Curnow v Jimby. Curnow in front, couldn't take the mark. Socket forward though for Carlton. Into the path on the wing for Fantasia, was knocked off, and then Graham caught friendly fire for West Coast. They lose the ball. Inside 50 go the Blues. Fogarty takes the mark, decides to play on. He tries to get it to McGovern, who taps it back to Fogarty. Just gets enough of his boot on it to soccer it through. It was almost Benny Hill music time, but the Blues didn't stuff it up in the end. They got the goal, and Fogarty has 3. Carlton has 6. 6-3-39 the Blues. The Eagles 1-1-7. 32-point margin, 25 minutes into the first term. They might be the only ones that can beat themselves today, Carlton.
Well, you know, you're not having a good day. At that last contest on the wing, West Coast had 3 players ran into each other. All 3 went to ground like 10-pin skittles, but Carlton, they've been irrepressible. Mitch McGovern, really good composure, and Fogarty, what a flyer he's had with the 3 goals.
Yeah, nothing's going their way, West Coast. All the loose balls just seem to be falling in towards Carlton, so they need a siren and to regroup before this really gets, I mean, you'd probably say it's out of hand now, but 5 goals is gettable in this day and age, but they need to be under that, I reckon.
He's got the hair pushed back again over the top, Fogarty. Standing up nicely despite the wet weather. The Eagles will get the clearance out of the middle. Long inside forward 50. Silvani, good mark. Leapt into the air. He's able to get in front of his opponent. Not a great kick though. Marrick intercepts it right half forward to Graham. His hand pass was poor as well. Has to go and mop up himself. Tackled by Binns. We've got the arms free. Got it out again towards Ryan. His hand pass intercepted. Doherty for the Blues. They'll move it short to Fantasia. Chance to go out to Binns. That's ignored. Fantasia goes looking for McGovern. There's a player in Curnow all on his own inside forward 50. It comes to Chincotta. Now to Curnow, who marks. He decides to play on. He could have gone to the Koning in the goal square, who was absolutely unmarked, but thought, you know what, I can kick it from here. And he does. And the Blues have got 7. Carlton 7-3-45. The Eagles 1-1-7, 27 minutes gone in the opening term. There's the first of the day to Charlie Curnow, and this has got a shellacking written all over it.
It absolutely does. There was...
Who'd you tip yesterday, Phil?
Yeah, I went West Coast. Thanks for bringing that up, Mitch. The lack of any kind of defence at all, Nutty. That's the really alarming thing for West Coast, and there's a lot of alarming things at the moment, but Carlton have just been white hot.
Contested possession is more than double.
This is their equal best opening term of the year, Carlton. 7-3 against North Melbourne back in round 6. They won by 82 points that day. Ball back in the middle. Ryan. Handball to Flynn for West Coast. Forward handball to Harley Reid. Little sidestep. Couldn't get past Doherty. Had to retreat. Back to the wing to Dewar. His kick smothered. Tumbles towards half forward for West Coast. There to meet it was Chera. Put it on the boot. Up the middle of the 50. Jimby came out to meet it. Couldn't take possession. Was tackled. Ball bobbling around. Attacking side of the centre square for Carlton. Allen got it to McCarthy for West Coast. And to Baker. His handball out into the path of Hunt, who slid. And it'll be a free kick.
Take the knees. Free kick.
Contact below the knees. And it'll go Carlton's way. Against Hunt. We'll go to Carroll. Stands on the southern wing logo. Kicks inside the forward 50. Looking for Curnow in front. Couldn't take the mark. Jimby was with him. Hewitt at ground level was tackled immediately by Graham. Curnow goes again. He's dispossessed. McCarthy, the debutant, got a looping handball to Dewar, who is gang tackled by a couple of Eagles. We'll have a ball up 45 metres out, just inside right half forward. Attacking end for Carlton. They lead by 38 points.
Thrown up to Koning, won it down for the Blues. There's Carlton players everywhere. Hewitt got there. Might have been a throw. Umpire says play on. Cripps spun around in the tackle. Got a hand pass out, and Brockman can't do much more than watch it go across the boundary line. And Harley Reid appealing to the umpire, how is that not a throw?
Well, I think it was a throw. It just got missed is the answer. They're sensing a kill, aren't they, Carlton? They've been flashy and the ball movement's been amazing, but they've been really tough as well.
Spun back in. Rux didn't get anywhere near it. Reed still trying to get there for the Eagles. Fantasia over the top of it. It's held in to the debutants. McCarthy on debut for West Coast. The 24-year-old. And we'll have ourselves another ball up. Right half forward for the Eagles, just inside forward 50. De Koning won it down. It's tracking towards the boundary line. Reed went out after it was taken high by Binns. Reed will get the free kick. Reminder, of course, there was the late change from the team originally named. Sam Walsh out with a hot spot in his foot. Expected to miss somewhere between 5 to 7 weeks. That's the reason Binns is into the team today. As Brock goes with a long kick towards the southern wing. Punch came from Wiedering. Oh, Flynn had a big air swing and missed with the right boot. Picked up by Cripps. Worked it off to Binns. Kicks into the right forward pocket, leading out O'Keefe. Couldn't mark under pressure. Umpire says play on. Hewitt again. Back to O'Keefe. Hard up against the boundary. Got bumped as he kicked it. Puts it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to West Coast. Left back pocket. It's all the Blues on the scoreboard, though. 7-3-45. The Eagles 1-1-7. 31 gone in the opening term. Just repeating the subs from earlier. Durden for Carlton. It's Clay Hall for West Coast.
Not going to be a good moment in review for Matty Flynn. That one, just bend over and pick up the ball. Big fella.
Wasn't quite as bad as, who was it last night? One of the players from
O'Sullivan?
missed the ball. I feel O'Sullivan had a fresh area right in front of goal. Could have kicked it. Ball out to the wing. Carlton win it back. Carroll to Sard. Short throw. Binns up the line to Motlop. 65 from home. Chip short inside 50 and Fantasia able to mark it just inside the forward 50 junction at right half forward. Graham Farmer freeway end, and he tucks the mouthguard into the socks. Fancies his chances, does Razio Fantasia.
Carlton just dominating any loose ground ball. They're swarming and gaining possession. 37-21 the ground ball gets, and the contested nature of their game as well, just dominating West Coast 52-32.
Carlton hasn't kicked 8 goals in an opening term in season 2025. Fantasia can't change it. Misses to the right, minor score 7-4-46 the Blues. West Coast 1-1-7, margin 39 points, 32 played. It's Carlton's best quarter of the year, though. Best opening quarter, that is.
Sneaking past their 7-3 against North Melbourne back in round 7 as the Eagles go short up the corridor. Oh, Allen almost turns it over. Motlop flew, couldn't mark. Getting there, though, Binns was able to work it on towards Fantasia, but it's a throw coming back here. They've been pinged here, Carlton. That against Binns, as he was looking to work it away from what was the right forward pocket for the Blues. The Eagles will have it through Dewar.
Bo Allen breathing a very large sigh of relief.
Absolutely. Here's Duggan who marks from Dewar's kick towards the outer side of the ground. Wiedering. Strong grab for Carlton. Tracks back. He knew that the quarter time siren was coming. He was happy enough just to hold it up until it sounded. That is a one-sided quarter, and it all belongs to those in the dark navy blue. Carlton 7-4-46, West Coast 1-1-7. The goal kickers in the opening term, Lockie Fogarty's already got 3. Singles to Williams, McGovern, De Koning and Curnow. While for West Coast, their solitary goal from the boot of Bailey J. Williams. Carlton 7-4-46. The Eagles 1-1-7. Earlier today, Port Adelaide beat Melbourne by 25 points, 14-9-93 to Melbourne 9-14-68. So a second straight win for Port coming off the bye. But here at Perth Stadium, overcast conditions, the lights are on. It's fairly miserable. But wherever you're listening around the country on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and streaming on the ABC Listen app, this is Sunday Night Footy on ABC Sport.
Ben Cameron and Corbin Middlemash from ABC Sport here.
Alongside Paul Roos, Brett Delidio and Poppy Penny, we bring you all the latest AFL news from both on and off the field on the ABC AFL Daily podcast.
You can hear it all on the ABC Listen app.
Up to steady and pull the trigger!
Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
front position. O'Keefe couldn't mark. Well came from Edwards at the back, knocked forward by Chincotta. De Koning picks it up and he kicks the goal. Threw it on the boot. Luck was a fortune. And he found the major opening. Oh, and then a little fumble from Brog. Put him under real pressure. McGovern got him. Hands it off. A chance to run in on goal. And a goal for the Blues. Fogarty's got it. Now to Chincotta from centre half forward. Kick inside forward 50. McGovern marks. In he comes. Mitch McGovern. He liked it the moment it left the boot. He raised the right hands to the skies.
Handballs to Chera, over the top to Fogarty, but number 2, can he gather? He can, he snaps, he goals. Lockie Fogarty has 2, Carlton now have 4, and they are all over West Coast.
In the direction, though, of Doherty, and he kicks straight down the throat, though, of the debutant in McCarthy. He'll spear the pass inside forward 50 and leading out to mark. Bailey J. Williams. 4-2 for the season. Back in the side this week. The kick's pretty good off the boot. It's through for West Coast first.
They lose the ball inside 50 by the Blues. Fogarty takes the mark, decides to play on. He tries to get it to McGovern, who taps it back to Fogarty. Just gets enough of his boot on it to soccer it through. It was almost Benny Hill music time, but the Blues didn't stuff it up in the end. They got the goal, and Fogarty has 3.
Firing Curnow all on his own inside forward 50. It comes to Chincotta. Now to Curnow, who marks. He decides to play on. He could have gone to the Koning in the goal square, who was absolutely unmarked, but thought, you know what, I can kick it from here. And he does. And the Blues have got 7.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Carlton lead by 39 points at quarter time. Just a shout out to match day here for the West Coast Eagles, dedicated to Fight MND. It's the WA Freeze. Throughout this match, they've just dunked Peter Rosethorn in the Fight MND dunk tank on the outer side of the ground. It looks very, very cold. Everything's relative, I guess, but well done to everyone involved. Of course, Neil Danaher, so many roles across football, was at West Coast as their general manager of football not that long ago. But the Eagles, they've got a fight on their hand at the moment against the Blues. Peter Bell, Chris Waterman, what have you made of it?
Well, that first quarter was just a Carlton onslaught. They dominated every facet of the game. I mentioned during the call, contested possession, ground ball gets. They've dominated inside 50, everything. Disposal, West Coast can't get their hands on the ball, 124-71, and they've even won the tackles, which is a good formula when you've won that much footy and you're still out tackling the opposition. The names that you don't want getting the ball if you're a West Coast supporter, Hewitt, Cripps, Tom De Koning's been influential as well with some clearances, some good ruck work. Really should have kicked a couple of goals. And they put 7 on the board, but West Coast have actually dodged a couple. I reckon. There's been the throw late in the quarter, otherwise Curnow's having a shot from the goal scare. De Koning dropped the mark in the goal square as well. It could be far, far worse. And the alarming thing is the lack of any pressure as Carlton are streaming out of any situation, whether it's out of half-back or out of stoppage. There's just no layers of defence from West Coast, and their defenders are just well and truly exposed. Shocking start.
52 more possessions.
It's not a hard game to summarise, really, but you only have to look at the stats, and apart from Harley Reid, West Coast, Ruben Jimby, Tom McCarthy, Bo Allen and Liam Baker, the next 4. There's 4 of their back 6. Ryan Marrix is 2 after that, who's a winger going back, and then Tyrell Dewar. So the whole back 6 are getting possession for West Coast because the ball's down there. The Duggan went to Cripps. Cripps had 10, Duggan 2, Kelly's had 2. Young Hewitt's had 1, Brockman's had 1, Hunt's had none. So their midfield are just getting obliterated, which doesn't help the rest of the ground.
Just spotted, and Bridget Lacey will keep an eye on it. Charlie Curnow looks to be heading down to the rooms.
He's probably going home.
So
get ready for next week. having 3 quarters off, Belly.
Interesting watch. I know there was a couple of incidents. The Bridge might have a clearer pitch or get down to her at some stage.
What about Andrew McCalder has to do a quarter-time address with one of the broadcasters? Worst possible result.
Tom McCarthy looked pretty good, though. Yeah. Debutant. That's a positive.
Not a bad pickup.
Well, he's getting a lot of the footy plus taking kick-ins, but the ball's spent 95% of the time down there.
As the number 1 pick in the 25 mid-season rookie draft comes West Coast's 6th debutant this year, and then you can throw in another 3 players making their club debuts this year. Like some
West
Baker
Coast-
Graham and, of course, Owies.
West Coast just need Matt Flynn just to make it a bit more of a presence in the middle, slow the ruck down and just try and curtail their midfield influence for Carlton.
He wasn't injured. It could have been the Matt Owies Cup, this one, between the Eagles and the Blues. We're underway in the second quarter. De Koning won it down. It came to Ryan, who'd been moved into the middle of the park. Got it to Hewitt. Kicks West Coast immediately inside forward 50. Off the pack, here's Hewitt backing up again. Handed it off to Kelly over his right shoulder. Kelly from the right forward pocket wobbles a kick towards the face of goal. It's Harley Reid underneath it, has somehow managed to conjure up the mark with the ball coming over his right shoulder, was surrounded by players, falling to ground, has grabbed the Sharon.
Well, he's one of the few West Coast players who's actually been competitive to this point in the game. He's made a few blues, but his energy's been there, his intensity. It's a terrific mark, very courageous. Some great play from Ryan, and then also Hewitt, who needs to lift.
He'll be kicking from no more than 20 out. Tightish angle to the right, though. Harley Reid comes in. And you can tell from the crowd reaction, the groan of disappointment. He's put it across the face. A minor score. 1-2-8 West Coast. Carlton remains 7-4-46. 60 seconds gone in the second term.
He's had 10 disposals, Harley Reid. He's had 8 contested possessions, so doing the grunt work. Wiedering from the back pocket, kicks up the wing into Koning. Able to take another mark. He rolls quickly. Kicks up the wing. Looking for a target, going back with courage, Jimby. Dropped in front of the leading Williams, takes the mark. Defensive side of the broadcast wing. Disposal number 8 coming up for Ruben Jimby. No Charlie Curnow out there at the moment. Up the wing he goes. Ryan stood under it for West Coast. Was knocked away by Haynes. Hollands. Handball through to Hewitt. Now Lord. On the centre wing logo, broadcast side of Perth Stadium. Gives it to Hollands. Kicks inside the forward 50 in front. Unable to take the mark was O'Keefe. Got a handball across to Akers. Snaps it towards the top of the goal square. McGovern flew. Couldn't mark. Baker's there for West Coast. Got it to Dewar. He was dancing and weaving, and the kick, unfortunately, at the end was out of bounds on the full. And Blake Akers will have the free kick about 55 metres out from goal. He plays on, runs to 50, kicks it back to the goal square, flying from the side. Hutchinson couldn't get a clean fist away. It spills the way of the Blues. And in the end, the kick is missed by Jackson Binns, who was only about 10 metres out, and he couldn't finish the work. A minor score. 7-5-47 Carlton. 1-2-8 West Coast. 2.5 minutes into the second term.
So again, McCarthy takes the kicking duties and he's able to find Dewar. That's a big rap, isn't it? So you can take this most pressurised of job in your debut game. Beyond defensive 50 again for the Eagles. De Koning brought it to ground. Knocked forward by the Blues again. Taken high here. Surely they're going to pay that eventually. They do. Jack Williams wrapped up around the neck. He'll get the free kick.
And if the game continues in this trajectory, McCarthy will be getting a solid workout doing the kick-ins, you'd think.
Yes, absolutely.
Ice that hamstring.
Here's Jack Williams kicking to a packet left half forward. 2 Blues went up. They got in each other's way. Shearer off his fingertips to Brockman. He kicked towards full forward. Went past Binns. Cripps was behind him. He gathered for the Eagles, Jamie Cripps, and then got taken across the behind line. Binns followed him up. Having a score check.
Yep.
Okay, well, that would be disappointing not to have one of those at this ground this weekend.
I was going to joke that they'll review it because it seems so obvious. I looked up and they were.
Must be checking whether or not the ball just raised the behind post on the way through. Cripps certainly touched on the way through. I'm not sure the footy did. He's taken it across the line there. They're worried if it's touched the front of the post, then this angle is a complete waste of time from behind. Oh, well, glad we got that sorted out. So that is going to be a rush behind. Goodness me, there's been a few just complete wastes of reviews.
Not like it's a telling point at this stage of the game.
Well, it's just one you go, surely that you just tell that one from where you are. 7-5-47 the Blues, 1-3-9 the Eagles. As I said on the forum today, maybe we get to the point where do we need goal umpires if they can't actually make those calls?
I was honestly going to joke they'll review this because he ran it over.
And then they did.
NFL style, and they actually did.
Oi.
From the back line, Silvani.
It's a very ugly kick, but it's down to Carlton jumper.
Tumbled the wrong way, but it landed on the chest of Fantasia. Defensive side of the wing goes into the middle of the ground. Chincotta marks. Thought about playing on. Umpire said he did step off his line. Chincotta into the pocket. Williams the target. That is a terrific grab by Zach Williams. One-on-one with Bo Allen. He thought about kicking it, but that's been brushed away by the umpire. He didn't step off his line.
That's a defensive lapse for that kick to be able to get corridor and goal side for Carlton. Just means that the mids aren't swivelling their heads and the defenders are backing away, not coming forward, and you can understand why they're backing away under this onslaught.
From a very slow ball in, given the score of you. Zach Williams looking for goal number 2. The defender come forward. Williams, set shot on the way. It's curling from right to left. It's good. The Blues continuing to roll at Perth Stadium. Williams doubles up. He's got 2 goals. Becomes the second multiple goal kicker today. Carlton 8-5-53. West Coast 1-3, 9-44 point margin. 6 minutes into the second. Bridget Lacey with an update from downstairs.
Yeah, Jack Williams limped to the bench not very long ago and is now on the bike. It just looked to be troubled a little bit by a left leg problem, but is just trying to maybe possibly a corky given he's on the bike. And bad news for West Coast is that Paddy Cripps and Charlie Curnow started this quarter off on the bench, and Paddy Cripps has made his way out, and Charlie Curnow is shortly going to join him, I think.
He's just run back out as you're giving us that update. He's in the middle of the 50, Charlie Curnow.
Ball thrown aloft in the centre, bounced off the shoulder of Flynn. Getting it then for the Eagles was Kelly. Gave it to Ryan, to Marrick on the logo, commentary wing. And passes back again to Dewar. Dewar kick towards left half forward. Coming across, getting it down was Flynn. Sard couldn't quite get there. Brockman's hand pass is going to be turned over. Hollins onto it is Binns.
This is the problem, the forward running of Carlton. They're all getting goal side.
Comes over the top to Hewitt. Now onto Fantasia. He'll kick into space into the right forward pocket. Coming out to try to get there was McGovern. He's got a task on here. Continues to battle away, and I reckon Allen was pretty happy to see that over the boundary line. What will the umpire say? It's okay. He'll throw it back in. And then McGovern's been involved in a little bit of push and shove, and he's gone to ground, and the umpire's going to come back here as there's more push and shove and say, let's just all settle down, everyone.
That looked like a flop from a long way back, and Harry Edwards thinks the same.
And he's been given a free kick eventually from that. You're really keen to see that once more. It just looked like there was a little bit of push and shove, and McGovern of the Mitch variety, but unfortunately unavailable West Coast one in Jeremy, has a free kick and a chance from right full forward and 20 metres out to snap onto the left, to curl it around and to add a little bit of extra insult to the scoreboard for the Eagles. And then everyone goes in once more just to give their thoughts on the matter. McGovern's surrounded for a moment. He's tried to be taken out of there by Chincotta. And Tim Kelly's imploring his West Coast teammates just to all calm down. There's handshakes and backslaps and high fives from the Blues fans. The goal counts, 9-5-59 to 139. McGovern has given, Allen a massive push in the back. And then he's been bumped into the side by Harry Edwards, and he's throwing himself on the turf. Bottom line, without all that, he's got himself a second goal. Was there a lot in that?
I actually think the force that McGovern put to Allen was greater than the force that Edwards did back to McGovern, but it's getting a bit sloppy, isn't it, for West Coast?
But it doesn't serve any purpose what Harry did. It's just, what's the point?
But you give the umpire a chance to...
He's going to call
your whistle.
Cost you a goal.
If you don't knock them over, they can't ping you for it, but I still reckon there wasn't a great deal in it.
Well, diving in low and getting a shove was Hewitt. He got knocked in the head. The Eagles thought he was forceful below the knees. Ends up with Cripps. Kicks towards McGovern. Couldn't take the mark. Curnow at ground level tries to knock it into the path of its teammate. Fogarty goes off the ground. Off hands. Coming through. Handball from Lord. Gives it across to Fantasia. Binns fumbles. Allows Allen to get the handball to Brock for West Coast, and his short kick looking for Brockman is chopped off and punched out of bounds by Nick Haynes. I actually thought McGovern was stiff not to get the free kick in the first place for being held by Edwards, but that's what he was complaining about, which led to the bump.
It's an interesting one from Hewitt. He actually, Hewitt pushed Hewitt into the contest below the knees.
I think the umpire was just confused and said play on, which is probably the right call in the end. There is Elijah Hewitt. He snaps it outside defensive 50. Haynes had a fresh air. He allowed Brockman to take it to West Coast. Ends up with Kelly. His handball knocked down. Hollins goes backwards to the wing to Wiedering, whose kick inside the 450 is spilt by Baker. Chincotta comes through. He's tackled. Now Baker has it back for West Coast, and he goes across his own 50 to Ryan Marrick at right half back. It goes out of bounds for a boundary throw in.
That was the idea. Couldn't find Marrick though. We'll be throwing in.
West Coast need 3 or 4 more Liam Bakers out there to get back into this game at the moment.
So left half forward, 51 out from the Blues attacking goal in his second turn to the right of our broadcast position.
Hewitt's up to 15 disposals. That's George.
Sunday footy on ABC Sport. DeConing taps it forward from the ruck restart for the Blues. Chincotta hands it off just in front of Motlop and then sliding through, making absolutely certain that was no trouble. For a rush behind is the debutant again. He has been busy, McCarthy.
Just concerning. Motlop's come from a stoppage, and there's no one near him at all, and he's running back to goal.
How did he get goal side?
Blues by 51 points.
Been totally unorganised at the clearances right from the start.
11 in the second term.
McCarthy for the kick out. He got it on the bounce to Graham, who kicks up the wing, and he stepped out of bounds at right half back. It's just so many errors for West Coast. As you mentioned, Belly and Muddy, they could have kicked probably at least 5 or 6 more. The Blues quickly down to Bridget Lacey.
Not much fun for West Coast fans. The rain continues down intermittently. It's getting colder and it's gloomy as.
A feeling for Bridget Lacey downstairs in the wet weather. Ball spun back in at half forward for the Blues. DeConing tapped it straight though to Elijah Hewitt of West Coast, to Flynn, whose handball's out in front of Duggan, and the Eagles co-captain is happy to see it go out of bounds. The sliders into the ice today. If you're in Tassie the other night, you would have been desperate to get into the ice with how cold it was. It might have warmed you up. Ball to be tossed back in at left half forward for Carlton. They lead by 51 points.
You are inviting trouble on the text line, Mitch Turner.
Get a roof.
Thrown in. Here's DeConing. Whacking it forward for the Blues with the left palm. Scooped up almost by Graham. He lost it. Chincotta didn't for Carlton. Snaps on the right towards goal. It's through. It's a blue tornado of goals. Carlton 10-6-66 to the Eagles, who are stuck on 139. 57 points is Carlton's lead. This is the bad old days of West Coast from last year and the year before and the year before that. Speaking of Hewitts, by George, he loves playing West Coast. George Hewitts had 39 disposals when they played earlier this season when Carlton won by 71 points. He's already got 15 today. He's had 30 plus in his last 3 games against the Eagles, George Hewitt.
West Coast had 3 opportunities to get first hands on the ball at that stoppage. None of the trio could do it, and Carlton pounced, and again, goal side running at the goal. Chincotta.
What was more alarming, Billy, is when the ball was in dispute, Carlton were one side and West Coast were the other.
Inside 50s, 31-12, the way of the Blues from the middle. The Eagles kick it forward through Duggan. It's dropped by Kelly, allows Doherty to gather and tumble the ball out to the broadcast swing. Brockman knocks it into the path of Dewar. West Coast have it back. Allen takes on the tackler and Cripps. Somehow got a handball. Well done by the young Eagle. Kick goes up towards centre half forward. Wiedering overruns it for Carlton. Kelly loses it for West Coast. Ball slapped inside the Eagles forward 50. The handball from Haynes went straight to Kelly, then threaded the handball through to Jamie Cripps. Kicks on goal, misses. The Eagles fans, you could feel the excitement coming. It's going to be a jeery relief, and they couldn't make the most of it. 1-4-10 West Coast. Carlton 10-6-66. 14 minutes into the second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
So the Blues come streaming away down the northern wing once more. Hollins kicks towards centre half forward. They'll get a free kick for a push.
Yeah.
McGovern will get it against Edwards. McGovern will be very happy to say a few things to Edwards after that as well. And given the free kick for the goal earlier on. Here's George Hewitt again. Back to Hollins. Will kick towards full forward. Comes down off hands of Curnow and then sliding back is the debutant McCarthy. And there's a push going against the Blues on this occasion. McCarthy won't have to worry about giving away the rush behind. He'll get the free kick in front of the behind line and put it out to Marrick, who marks in the right back pocket.
Marek goes short. A couple of mid-season draft picks linking up. Goes short to Dewar, who plays on, kicks down the southern side. It's tight against the boundary. Umpire said okay. Jack Williams took the mark. He kicks up towards Harley Reid. Takes it strongly with pressure coming back. Still a kick and a half from his attacking goal. Allen's leading forward. Ignores that. Goes laterally back to the wing to Marek. He goes short to McCarthy, who spills it. Wasn't a great kick. Umpire said play on. He had a couple cracks at it. Marek, though, gathers it for the Eagles. Goes to Dewar. Kick inside the forward 50 is punched away by Doherty. And it goes out of bounds for a boundary throw in just outside the Painter 50 at right half forward for West Coast. Into possession for the time being. They still trail, though, by 56. 16th minute of the second term. Clint Wilden.
Just the one goal in the game for the Eagles back at the 18-minute mark of the opening term. Flynn is able to tap this one down. Bins against it, bumps it towards left half forward. Ginby intercepts, all dangerous kick across half forward. McGovern knocked it down. It came to Williams. Now to Akers for the Blues. Kicks around the body. He wants Curnow. Ginby got there, was able to effect the spoil. To Dewar for the Eagles. His hand pass awry. Back to George Hewitt. Hand pass again across half forward to Motlop. Working it through to Boyd. Now it comes again to Doherty, who decides to shoot for goal. He's missed the lot out to the right-hand side. It's actually clipped the behind post, I beg your pardon, on the way through. So it'll be a free kick, well, whatever way you want, for West Coast Eagles. I have it in the left back pocket. The Blues lead remains 56 points, 17 gone in the second.
Oh, the kick out from defence was a shocker by Brock. It just swayed away and goes out of bounds on the full. Doherty's kick actually hit the top of the goalpost.
Landed on it, didn't it?
I don't see it that often. Could have popped the ball. Haynes retreats for Carlton to centre wing to Saad, who goes inside the centre square to Carroll. Full switch is on. Chera takes it on the southern wing, goes short on the left foot. The teammate in Bins out there, who kicks it up towards half forward. Coming across, a couple of Eagles got in each other's way. Bowls through Ginby. Curnow gathers at ground level. Handball to George Hewitt, trying to find some room. Eventually handballs it outside attacking 50 to Chera to Saad on the wrong side for him, but he's got options everywhere. He picks up Nick Haynes. He marks at 48 metres out. Doesn't kick a lot of goals, Nick Haynes. A former Giant. Thought his career was coming to an end, but he's been reinvigorated at Carlton. Nick Haynes from the paint of 50. Kick is on the way. It's right to the line. It's punched back into play. Curnow spills it. Williams there as well for Carlton. Ball bobbling right next to the goal face. Cripps lays a tackle on McCarthy, who gets it at Duggan. Spiralling kick outside defensive 50. Spilt by Saad. Brockman handballs it. Carlton have the numbers though.
They're able to track it back. Akers tapped it to his own advantage on the wing. Somehow got a hand pass out. Well done to Carroll, who goes right back to Wiedering, who marks between right half back and centre wing. His kick was poor. Went over the top of Hewitt, of Carlton, of course. Edwards there, and then Graham's hand passed it straight into Saad. Couldn't take it cleanly. Edwards trying to follow back up for the Eagles. Carlton are able to steal it away. They'll race through the middle through Boyd. Got originally from Hewitt again. Boyd kicked to Akers at right half forward. He runs the 50 out, has a shot at goal and misses right. They're peppering away the Blues, but they're not finding the major opening as often as they did in the first quarter. They're 10-7-67. The Eagles are 1-4-10. 19 gone in the second term. Sunday night footy on ABC Sport, on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and streaming on the ABC Listen app.
It could be so much worse for West Coast. I know that's hard to believe, but Carlton have wasted some really good opportunities.
Not a lot going their way at the moment. McCarthy's kick out to Marek. He spilt the mark. It allows Carlton to get back onto it. Chera handballed it forward. Well done, though, by Harry Edwards. Got it to Allen, and now Marek just beyond half-back. Kicks it short to Harley Reid. He spills it. Able to gather, though, with some time and a nice kick inside the centre square to Jack Williams. He's got Hutchinson streaming forward inside 50. Just needs enough on the kick, and Akers gets there. Gets a fist on it, and it bounces out of bounds in the left forward pocket for West Coast.
I'm starting to think about the old days here, Belly, where the bottle of green ginger stones might be passed around at half time just to warm everyone up. Get them fired up.
Ball spun back inside. The Eagles attacking 50. Williams takes it out of the ruck, tumbles it towards the goal face. Playing goalkeeper is Nick Haynes. Gathers and clears defensive 50 with a high kick. Bailey Williams got in front, dropped the mark for West Coast. Handball comes out from Fogarty to Motlop, who kicks down the broadcast wing to McGovern.
McGovern marks between the two interchange gates. Holds up the right hand. Well, everyone just get forward of me. I'll pause and wait. That was John Todd, wasn't it? Tried that one. Buddy? That was one of the Toddy tricks.
More than once.
More than once. Back to Wiedering, marking almost at the top of the defensive 50 arc. He'll kick out to Haynes, who marks for the Blues and plays on. Goes to Silvani. Had to stretch, but dragging the mark. And again, a perfectly directed kick to Chera. He marks, takes a couple of steps, plays on, goes inside forward 50 to Koning against Allen. Koning brought it to ground. Fogarty couldn't gather. Duggan tries to go over the top, and here's Bo Allen forced to do a bit of defending, tackling Boyd, the ball across, or Lord rather, the ball across the boundary line, 49 out from the Blues goal in the left forward pocket. It's going to be spun back in by the boundary umpire. Still, Carlton lead by 57 points.
To Koning, got in front of Williams at the restart. Free kick spotted. Going the way of West Coast.
Jack
off
Graham.
the ball.
James Cripps, I think.
Yeah, Cripps is the one who's complaining. So that would normally
Usually a
mean
good indication.
it's the player who has given away the infringement. Jack Graham will kick up the southern wing, looking for a target in front. Silvani got a fist to it. Carlton then to mop up. Carroll to George Stewart, who spilt it under pressure from Allen. The Eagles skipper did well. Hands and knees, taps it towards Marek. Handball forward to Ryan. Now the kick inside 50. Can he find a target? It's not a great kick. It gets through everyone, though. Williams out the back. This is Jack. Couldn't take possession. Slaps it towards Allen. Big contest between him and Cooper Lord. They both went hard, both went low. Neither could take possession. It's been wrapped up. And there'll be a ball up 35 metres out, directly in front of the Eagles attacking goal. Pretty perfect contest by the two. Umpire will toss the ball in the air.
De Koning against Jack Williams. De Koning won it down. Chincotta is able to get a kick away. Goes up into the air, not far enough to be paid a mark to Ryan, who thought he was taken high. Either that or holding the ball. The umpires just decide that they'll let play continue. Carlton move it towards the southern wing, and Bailey J. Williams can't quite keep it in. Ryan has stayed down after all of that. Need a little bit of help getting up from both Oscar Allen and Saad. Certainly thought straight away he had cop one high. Bridget Lacey is downstairs. Bridge?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some movement on the Blues bench. It looks like Charlie Curnow's day might be done. He just sat at the back of the bench. Corey Durden hasn't taken his jacket off just yet, but Charlie's been...
to Cripps to Chera, kicks inside forward 50. Can't find a target immediately. It's gone across the boundary line for a throw-in. Back to you, Bridge.
Yeah, Charlie's just removed himself back to the main part of the bench. So he has been chatting to the physios, and obviously he started this quarter off, so it'd be unusual for him to be off again at this stage if there was no issue. So I'll keep an eye on it.
Something's afoot downstairs for Carlton, perhaps. De Koning against Bailey J. Williams. Spilled down, though, for the Eagles. Graham's kick was intercepted by Akers, and he was tackled and wrapped up, and that's holding the ball. And Hewitt will have the free kick for West Coast deep in the right back pocket. 23 gone. It's still all the Blues on the scoreboard. They're in front by 57 points in this second term.
Kick goes up the wing. Ryan in front for West Coast. Edged out of it. Wiedering takes possession for Carlton. Nice little short kick inside to Fogarty from the centre square. Kicks it inside the forward 50. No one home but Duggan, who marks played on. Almost run down by Williams. Quick handball to Dewar, who sets a task for Baker against a couple of Blues in the middle of the ground. Ball knocked back towards half forward for Carlton. Allen did well. Got the handball out for West Coast to Hunt, and now broadcast swing to Hutchinson. Kicks up towards centre half forward. Allen there to take the mark. Has a player all on his own inside the forward 50. Cripps is waiting, takes the mark, plays on, dribbles it through. The Eagles finally have their second goal. Their first major since the 18-minute mark of the first term. Jamie Cripps kicks his first. 2-4-16 West Coast, 10-7-67 Carlton. That's a margin of 51 points. 25 into the second term. Dual premiership players Chris Waterman and Peter Bell are our experts here for ABC Sport.
Love the kick from Jack Hutchinson. Got into the corridor and Jamie Cripps was out goal side and the second goal in the game. But I don't think Michael Voss will be too pleased really with the last 5 to 7 minutes from Carlton. They've had some wonderful opportunities, but in the end it hasn't really amounted to much. So,
well, we're seeing the weakness in Carlton against better teams than what West Coast are putting out there right now. They can get in front, but they're vulnerable still. And they've just lapsed in concentration at times. They're too far ahead of West Coast right now, though.
Charlie Curnow still on the bench. So the Eagles look to bring it away from the restart. Baker got it onto Ryan. He'll take a bounce. He's got options with him. Ryan decides to kick inside forward 50. Off the hands of Flynn to Kelly. Clever tap from Williams. Worked it on to Hewitt, who snaps and goals. 2 goals in a matter of seconds for the Eagles. They worked that pretty well. West Coast 3-4-22 to Carlton 10-7-67. The Blues by 45 points now. Margin reducing a little bit. 25 minutes gone in the second term. The knock-on from Jack Williams was terrific.
Just some smart footy for once. We just haven't seen it. And some clean grabs, belly out of the midfield for a start. I thought Ryan could have handled Tom McCarthy the first game of it. Not one fumble in all of that. It was just either clean hands or a knock-on, and first time they looked like a West Coast Eagles football team.
And out of necessity, Liam Baker's gone into the middle, which McQualter hasn't done for a while, but obviously not pleased to this point.
A run of 6 straight goals for the Blues, now 2 to the Eagles in a row. So finding a little bit of momentum. Harley Reid out of the middle, shares it with Hunt, and run down from behind. Free kick. Carlton, they take the advantage. Chincotta gives it to De Koning. Bumped as he kicked inside the forward 50. And it's a free kick down the ground. I think it's going to be Hudson O'Keefe is the recipient. Yes. De Koning was bumped as he kicked it. You see the replay on where he was hit. But it's a down the ground free kick going the way of the Blues and Hudson O'Keefe.
Took a few big contested marks last week in his first game, O'Keefe. Let's have a look at his goal-kicking routine here.
Hasn't kicked a goal at AFL level. Supplementary signing. Has had to wait for his moment. Hudson O'Keefe. It's a nice-looking set shot. It's not nice enough. Just faded across the left-hand side through the behinds for a minor score. He'll have to wait a bit longer. 10-8-68. Carlton 3-4-22. West Coast 27 into the final. Second term. Eagles might wish it was the final term.
46 points, that margin to the Blues. McCarthy, the debutant, continues with the kicking duties. Long beyond defensive, 50 to a packet. Left half back for the Eagles. Patrick Cripps tried to work it out of trouble. Silvani going back with the football. It's socked across the boundary line. Didn't come off the deck, though, so it's going to be a throw-in. Let's head downstairs to Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, someone handed Charlie Curnow a jacket, but he hasn't put it on, and nor has Corey Durden made a move to warm up. But we are close to half-time, so I'm wondering if it's a half-time sub.
Going in to Koning. It was hit by a solid bump by Duggan. You saw the replay of that. Went out after it. Tapped it down. Baker kicks towards left half forward. Silvani, good mark against Jack Williams. Strong mark, and he's got it in the left back pocket. Takes a couple of steps and will kick back towards centre wing. Again, massive pack up. Travels over the back of them. Binns tries to get to it. The ball, unfortunately for the Blues player, just took a right-hand turn and bounced its way across the boundary line.
He's really settled into that key defensive post, hasn't he? Jack Silvani putting together some very consistent football.
Saw a little replay, a little errant arm from Harley Reid on Fogarty when he was chased down. Probably nothing in it, but just a little Harley moment you have every now and then. Flynn trying to burst away from the restart. Free kick off the ball going.
It's against Reid, yeah. Harley Reid.
Going to Jackson Binns. They're having a bit of a laugh with each other. 2 youngsters. It's a Binns free kick on the logo on the broadcast wing. A very faded logo, I might say, today. They've obviously had to paint and stop painting a number of times with the Socceroos in town. And now the footy back on the short kick by Hollands. Gets chopped off by Baker. Goes inside by foot to Harley Reid. Plays on It's the former number 1 pick. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Dangerous kick. Knocked away from the Eagles by Akers. Doherty over it. Gathered it inside his own defensive 50. Little handball to Sard. Nice kick around the body. Finds Jackson Binns just beyond right half back. He can go short to Adam Cherrett. I've never seen the lines this faded. The 50s as well, but
I suppose one of the problems
they got Origin on Wednesday. They don't repaint it again.
Well, it's rained, drizzled a bit. It's hard to put the paint back down if you can't get it to dry. Otherwise, we end up with that situation we had the other night when the yellow showed looked red because of the paint on the logos. It doesn't look great, I'll grant you that, but I think they've got a good reason so far it hasn't happened. Goodness me, they're carrying on behind Bridget Lacey at the moment.
I know, it's annoying.
So this is going to be O'Keefe, who's got the ball on centre wing for the Blues, kicking towards right half forward, and then Harry Edwards sends it over the boundary line for a throw-in.
A few of the Queensland players here tonight. Clint, the Origin boys are in the house watching, been informed.
Are they?
Yep, not that you'd care about that too much.
I'm very much on the side that's in front at the moment when it comes to Origin. Speaking of the Blues, as Kelly got tackled by Doherty, the ball jarred free, and there's a free kick being spotted here. It will go West Coast way. They might take the advantage. We'll come back to Reid. A few Bronx cheers as Reid gets the free kick and he moves it short to Hewitt. Just pauses. Threw green boots on. Tries to step inside Hollins and did well to get away from him too. Kicks the Eagles to left half forward. The hands of Chincotta. Tapped down there by Sard. Work to Silvani for Carlton. He kicks towards the logo. Commentary wing, and Jimmy was being held here by Fansation. He'll get a free kick for the West Coast Eagles. 10-8-68 the Blues. 3-4-22 the Eagles. 32 gone in the second.
Jimby kicks up towards half forward. Flynn did well. Got back. Couldn't complete the mark though. Silvani now gathers for Carlton, tackled by Bailey J. Williams. Have a ball up left half forward on the somewhat logo there. Very faded. Left half forward for West Coast to Koning. Bounce or throw favoured him. Came down to Brockman, lost possession. Hunt for West Coast comes steaming through. He's tackled by Doherty and George Hewitt. Another ball up, a little bit closer. 40 metres out from West Coast attacking goal. Flynn and De Koning go at it, and De Koning put the arm around Flynn. Umpire saw it. Just a little clumsy from the gun ruckman, and it'll be a free kick to Matthew Flynn after the half-time siren. The Eagles will be looking for a fourth goal. Just a bit of byplay near Matthew Flynn. Harley Reid and Jackson Binns are just having a bit to say and a bit of push and shove.
If Flynn kicks this, it'll be 3 goals each in this second quarter, which looked highly unlikely after the barrage from Carlton in the first quarter.
3-3 so far for Carlton. It is 2-3 for West Coast to level the scores in this second quarter. Matthew Flynn, that won't do it. I don't know what else to say apart from the fact that it came right off the side of the boot and was 25 metres away from the goals, as there's some push and shove on the siren between the two teams. Ruben Jimby in there for West Coast. Liam Ryan and Jesse Motlop exchange. Pretty poor attempt at a scuffle. They just laughing at each other as they pushed each other, of course, and nothing underwater as the two teams still jawing a bit at each other, but they separate.
Well, Binns has been in everything.
Bridget Lacey down on the boundary.
Yeah, Charlie has now put the jacket on and he's not moving exceptionally well as he heads to the rooms for halftime. So I'm expecting that we won't see him after halftime, just waiting for confirmation from the Blues.
Well, why would you risk him? Why would you risk him? 1 goal so far to Charlie Curnow, and his side is 46 points to the good at halftime. 10-8-68 to 3-4-22. The goal kickers for Carlton, Lockie Fogarty's got 3, Mitch McGovern with 2, Zach Williams with 2, De Koning, Curnow and Chincotta, the other goal kickers. While for West Coast, they're 3 goals, Bailey J. Williams, Jamie Cripps and Elijah Hewitt. By the way, here's a fun fact, thanks to a cashback in the studio. This game features 3 Williams, 2 Cripps, 2 Hewitts, 1 Alan with an A and 1 Allen with an E. And if Jeremy was playing, there could have been 2 McGoverns as well.
And Archer Reid was omitted by West Coast. We
That's
could have
right.
made it 2 Reids.
Could have had a couple of
Commentator's
Reids.
dream.
Oh, that's why we're doing our best for the Hewitt for Carlton, Hewitt for West Coast.
It's a genuine Hewitt too, same spelling.
Yep.
Yeah,
Same spelling.
Interesting by Carlton. They just got stopped by Patrick Cripps about 20 metres from the race, and he huddled them all together and was kind of giving a pretty stern address to his troops, so they probably weren't happy with that.
No.
Second term either. I will say on the positive, Charlie Curnow, he needs an ice bath. There's one here.
I also reckon he wanted to wait for Doherty, who was doing a television interview. It was one of those, no, we will wait for the entire group to come off the ground together.
Yeah.
Well, what have we made of all that? Peter Bell, Chris Waterman. It's been a very average second term after a blistering start from the Blues.
Well, West Coast will probably take that and in some sense bring the game back down to somewhere near a level that they put out in the first quarter, although that would be hard because it was so poor. But they fought a bit more in the second quarter, and like I mentioned a couple of times, I think Carlton would be disappointed with how they approached the second quarter as well. They were nowhere near as clinical, particularly close to goal. Started to get into sort of long balls in, a couple of long shots at goal that either didn't make the distance or missed. But all in all, when you put 68 points against an opposition in a half of footy and keep them to 22 points, you'd have to be pretty pleased with your work, Matty.
Well, it's 60 more possessions, Billy. That's two very good midfielders.
Double the inside 50s as well.
So they've just won everywhere, and West Coast just made it a bit of a scrap that second quarter. I mean, Duggan on Cripps didn't work, so he went to half back and they brought Baker in, so just changed it up there. Hunt on the wings had two possessions, so whether you throw into a half-back flank, now that Curnow's gone out of the game, it's whether West Coast need to pull the plug and get Clay Hall in, and don't worry about injuries. Take that out of the equation. Drop someone out and give the kid a go. You've got nothing to lose right now.
Well, you're 7 goals plus down, and coaches will say in these types of circumstances you learn a bit about your squad. So
absolutely.
Throw the magnets around a little bit. You've got an opportunity there. Try and learn something about your players. And Michael Voss will be very keen to just see his more experienced team approach this second half a little bit more like what they did in the first quarter.
Thoughts of Peter Bell and Chris Waterman with you, our experts today on ABC Sport. Repeating at his half-time here at Perth Stadium, Carlton lead the Eagles by 46 points, 10-8-68 to West Coast 3-4-22. We've got a very special guest coming up for you in just a few moments, but that's all after we take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Israel says oil pipelines and transmission lines in the port city of Haifa have been damaged by missile strikes from Iran. It comes as the Israeli military issues an evacuation order to people living near nuclear reactors and weapons factories in Iran, as the two Middle Eastern rivals continued to intensify their aerial conflict. The crisis began 2 days ago with a surprise Israeli attack on Iranian nuclear facilities that Iran says killed 78 people. And since then, Israel says it suffered 13 deaths in reprisal attacks. And amid deepening unrest in the Middle East, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and US President Donald Trump will have their first face-to-face meeting on the sidelines of this week's G7 Leaders Summit in Canada. Political reporter Stephanie Dalzell has the details.
The meeting will come just days after the Trump administration announced a review of its $368 billion AUKUS agreement to provide nuclear-powered submarines to Australia. Mr Albanese says he'll raise the AUKUS agreement with President Trump, as well as the president's move to slap tariffs on Australian goods and services. And as Israel and Iran exchange a fresh wave of attacks, the Prime Minister says the escalation in tensions will likely also be discussed.
And I'm sure that the events, obviously, that are occurring in the Middle East will be a topic of conversation.
The Prime Minister says he'll also discuss the Middle East in meetings with other world leaders this week.
Large numbers of demonstrators have turned out in cities across the United States to protest against the policies of Donald Trump on the same day a major military parade was held in Washington, coinciding with the president's 79th birthday. More from North America correspondent Lauren Day in Los Angeles, where peaceful protests descended into chaos.
Right now we can hear bangs going. You just heard one then. I think that's a flashbang grenade. You could see the flash at the same time. We've also seen tear gas deployed. So what started as a very peaceful day has now devolved into something quite chaotic. The LAPD has issued these alerts, dispersal orders, warning people to get out of the scene and telling them that they have authorised the use of less lethal force. That's because they say people are throwing rocks and bricks. We haven't seen any sign of that.
A man is in custody in Tasmania after allegedly threatening a woman with a gun this afternoon. Police were called to a hotel on Hobart's waterfront at around 3:15. Officers allege the man in his 20s threatened a woman in a hotel room where the firearm was later located. Police say the woman escaped to safety while the man was arrested a few blocks away. An investigation is continuing. Homicides detectives are scouring for evidence after a body believed to be of a middle-aged woman was found in bushland in Western Sydney today. A passerby made the discovery at a reserve in Werrington. Police say the body was surrounded by clothing and rubbish. Detective Superintendent Trent King says it's been there for some time and it's unclear if there are any injuries.
Certainly a period of time. Very difficult to ascertain at this stage. Again, the scene is currently being examined. We're hoping certainly in the next couple of days, through both the post-mortem examination as well as the examination today, that we will have further information.
The cold snap is starting to ease across southeast Queensland after reaching record-breaking lows. Brisbane dropped to just 5 degrees on Friday morning, while Ipswich, west of Brisbane, got close to -1, making it the coldest June morning since 2002. The Weather Bureau's Sophie Nennis says that residents should get ready to say goodbye to single digits.
Still be chilly, given we are in the middle of the year, in the middle of winter, but we should see them becoming a little bit more average. So for the southeast in particular, looks like tomorrow morning might still be a bit chilly. Forecast minimum for Brisbane around 9 degrees, but from there we should see them move back up into the low teens.
Turning to sport, and in AFL, Port Adelaide forward Mitch Georgiadis has guided his side to a 25-point win over Melbourne. The 23-year-old finished with a career-high 7 goals and 4 behinds, the most scoring shots in any match by any Port Adelaide player this century. Georgiades credited the power midfielders with making his job easy.
If kicks a bit straight, it would have been even better. But, ball was moving freely and flowing really nicely, which certainly helps us forward. When you got people like Butsy, Horny, Rose, or the rest of the boys moving the ball the way that was, it certainly makes the game a lot easier and putting it into space, and all you got to do is just get there.
And in the National Rugby League, Canterbury has beaten South Sydney 24-18. This is ABC News.
The ABC Listen app has it all. The British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia, Wimbledon, the World Test Championship, and West Indies versus Australia. Oh, and did I mention we're doing the footy every weekend? ABC Sport on the ABC Listen app. On ABC Sport, you're listening to the 2025 AFL Premiership season.
AFL. Don't get better than this.
On your radio,
Sport Digital,
and on the ABC Listen app.
It's half-time at Perth Stadium. Carlton lead the Eagles by 46 points, 10-8-68 to West Coast 3-4-22. Clint Wilden with you on ABC Sport. Delighted to have a very special guest downstairs. Graham Swan, Ashes winner.
G'day, Clint. How you doing, mate?
Welcome to you.
Thank you.
How you finding the conditions, Graham?
This is like being back at home, honestly. A bit of a greasy surface. What I have found out, I'm not much of an AFL aficionado. It's not a wet weather sport, I don't think. They're struggling to grip it. There is an excuse for the West Coast Eagles here, who are not really performing so far. But no, I'm loving the atmosphere here. It's brilliant.
I was going to ask you about your thoughts on this stadium. Last time there was an Ashes test in town, it was back at the WACA ground, and of course you were involved in a winning Ashes series with games played at the WACA. How big will the Ashes be when it all gets started at this venue, November 21?
You know, I can't wait. The WACA was always my favourite Australian ground. Not that we played very well there. We always lost at the WACA. But it was always the third game. There's a lot of English in Perth. We know that as Englishmen. And now it's the first test of this Ashes series. I think it's a brilliant advantage for England for once. Normally we're set up to the tropical climes of Brisbane. We hate it. It's too hot, it's too wet, it's too sticky. But here in Perth, with all the English watching, I've got to say, this Optus Stadium is phenomenal. Incredible place. Who knows, it could be a home from home for England. We might go 1-0 up. You never know.
Did you keep an eye on the World Test Championship? I've got to say, as much as we were disappointed we didn't win, I thought it was a great thing for world cricket that South Africa pick up the mace. But when you look at potentially some issues at the top of the Australian batting lineup, where do your thoughts go on that?
You know what? First, I will say well done to South Africa. They did play incredibly well. Whoever won the toss in that game won that game, in my view. Whoever batted last was going to win. Test match cricket, June in England is very tricky. I played for South Africa B for most of my career because most of my teammates were South African, so I've got to say well done to them. I think Australia's batting woes, as they've been described in the English press, they're not that bad. We know that. England and Australia are very, very similar, I think. They've got one or two world-class players. Your Steve Smith cancels out our Joe Root. Labuschagne probably cancels out Brooke. Then I think they're pretty similar. I think one or two players may have big series and push the team in their direction, but it's going to be tight. It's all going to come down to the bowlers, in my view. And your big three pace men, maybe their confidence has been shattered by not beating South Africa. I don't know. My fingers are crossed as I say that.
Graham Swan with us, Ashes winner downstairs. How important do the Ashes remain for world cricket? Because particularly for us, we really have enjoyed the battles with India of late, but the Ashes, there's something just special about the two old enemies going head-to-head.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think from a money point of view, any series against India is obviously important, and the IPL has meant that the players enjoy that. But England, Australia, the old enemy, there's nothing bigger. And for a player, for anyone from England, I can certainly tell you that. And the Aussies that I know as well, it's the only series you look forward to. It's huge. It's going to be massive. And England need, to pull their fingers out and actually play well over here, because we've been really poor the last couple of tours. So we need to start well here in Perth and sort of get the excitement back in the Ashes for world cricket.
Do you still pull out the sprinkler celebration at any time, Graham?
No, I don't. I mean, Miley Cyrus started twerking just after I sprinkled, so I've done my bit for international dance. Seems a long time ago. That's 12 years ago. No, even more, 15 years ago. That was going on, 2010. Some of the happiest times of my life when we won the Ashes last time here in Australia. So hopefully England could do well this time and someone can bring out a new dance move.
It was a terrific dance move, and we remember you doing it on the MCG and then the SCG. How do you think it will go? Give us your prediction for the Ashes when it all fires up.
Right, I've got to do the old Glenn McGrath, haven't I? Say 5-0. I'm not going to say which team to, but 5-0. No, I think in all honesty, I think it's going to be close. I think probably 3-2. Global warming means one of the games might be rained off. So 2-2. And then a tight rain-affected last Test match that England pipped right at the end at Sydney. That would be good for me.
I'm being cheeky here, but it'll be Sydney that rains out, like always. Sure, yeah,
of course
exactly.
it will.
Will you be over here for it, Graham?
I will be. I'm coaching these days for England Lions, which is the one step down from the full England team, and then hopefully doing some media work. So it depends whether I want to go to Melbourne and Sydney for Boxing Day and Christmas, because, my favourite part of Australia is definitely WA.
Oh, well said. We knew we loved you for a reason. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you, mate.
Graham Swan downstairs. He's always been terrific value to have a chat with us here on the ABC. And, of course, I remember distinctly just how imposing they were in 2010, 2011 when England rolled into town and just swept all before them. Of course, that was a long time ago. The WACA game, by the way, the last test, the last international that played there was, of course, up against England in an Ashes test. So for the very first time, Perth Stadium will be hosting an Ashes test match, and also for the very first time the Ashes series will begin here in the West. November 21 to 25. Ticket sales have already been just beyond belief. There's no doubt in my mind. 32,368 is the record crowd for a day of Test cricket in Perth. That's going to be blown away in this stadium. I'd be staggered if we don't get crowds of 55, 60 plus for days 1 and 2. Thanks to Graham Swan for talking to Bridget Lacey downstairs. Our experts have jumped back into the box. We'll get their thoughts in just a moment. Still waiting for the teams, or as I say that, the Blues making their way back out onto the ground. And it's all about Carlton at the moment. 10-8-68 to West Coast 3-4-22. Carlton leading by 46 points, and just repeating earlier, Port Adelaide by 25 points over Melbourne. 14-9-93 to the Demons, 9-14-68. Mitch?
And I see Corey Durden without the jumper or warm-up shirt on. So, Bridget Lacey, before I get the stats.
Yes, just hot off the presses from Carlton. They have confirmed that Charlie Curnow is out of this game as suspected. They're saying calf tightness. And obviously, as you said, Mitch, Corey Durden, the sub, is in.
There you go. He's kicked 26 goals in the last 4 meetings against West Coast, Charlie Curnow, so that'll help their chances. Numbers-wise, Carlton have had 60 more disposals than the Eagles. They are up by 14 in the contested possession count. The inside 50s, 40-20 Carlton's way. Hit-outs 20-9 favouring the Blues. The clearances, though, Eagles up in that area, 19 to 18. The tackles 29 to 26. Carlton's way. Individually, George Hewitt has the most touches on the ground, 21 disposals. Adam Chera and Jackson Binns with 14 each. Ollie Hollands with 13 for the Eagles. Harley Reid has 15 touches, and the debutant, taking a lot of kickouts but looked okay, Tom McCarthy has 15. That'll be very good news for a lot of Supercoach and fantasy players as well. Tyrell Jewett with 12, and then 10 to Marek, Jimby, Baker and Allen.
Shame on us, Mitch. We're in trouble. You called Cripps to Hewitt for a goal. I had a fist pump only to realise it was the West Coast pair and not the Blues. I'll cop that, but I reckon we would have said kicks inside forward 50 for West Coast. So apologies. We are doing our best. Yeah, it's sometimes a bit more of a challenge because there seems to be any number of double ups. So whoever you are, I'll call you Doris. Sorry, Doris. My bad. Hope the Eagles have got some players coming back. Their next game is the Pies at the MCG. That's from Brennan and Hobart. They've got the bye, of course, West Coast. And after their performance in that first quarter tonight, they could well do with one. Go Blues from Grant here in a warm Hobart. Great call through the digital radio. Feel like I'm sitting there next to you blokes. Here's a question. Is the Eagles Cripps related to Patrick Cripps? Yes. They're not brothers. They're cousins. Is that right? Mitch,
second cousins.
Second cousins. I knew they were cousins of some description. Danny says junior basketball's got a mercy rule. When the dominant team gets so far ahead, it's embarrassing, and he's asked not to defend beyond the halfway line. Might have to consider that for the AFL. The mercy rule comes in every so often about people saying it, but you can't have it when you've got percentages. Teams have got every right to go as much as they can and smash the opposition side to try and build their percentage. It's a professional comp. No mercy rule for professional comps.
There's no way of knowing whether this is the case, but the bye is an interesting thing, and I just wonder whether with a young team who have been pretty good for the last month, considering where they've come from, West Coast, whether maybe you only have to be off a little bit, you start thinking about what you might be doing with a bit of time off. But I reckon Andrew McWalter would have got him refocused to quarter time as best as he could have in one of those old-fashioned bakes, probably.
Yeah.
But now he gets a chance to have a look at them, Muddy, and who's going to respond under enormous duress and fight it out.
I mean, West Coast aren't in the same boat as Essendon, but Carlton were 40 points up over Essendon by quarter time and played very similar football. They do like to play fast. That's why they've won a lot of their first quarters, but they've been mowed down a lot, which none of us here are sitting here expecting, but it may not be as bad as what it is now.
And no Curnow, obviously, who's gone out with that calf tightness. And
one mercy rule.
Yeah, one player I wanted to mention who probably hasn't received enough for his impact on the game is Chin Cotter. I think he's been exceptional.
Standing in the forward line at the moment is Alex Chin Cotter. Ball back in the air, underway for the second half here at Perth Stadium. Players crash in, tied up immediately. Under all that is George Hewitt of the Carlton Football Club. He's tackled by Elijah Hewitt of the West Coast Eagles. Ball goes back in the air. Tap to Hollands. Kick towards centre half forward. Chin Cotter spilt the mark. Coming through. Edwards ran straight into Chin Cotter. Bounced off him. Ball comes to Cripps. Kicks from 45 to the goal face. McGovern can't take the mark. Through his hands under pressure from Ruben Jimby, who has that match up now. Through for a minor score. That is the first score of the second half. Carlton 10-9-69. West Coast 3-4-22.
Almost into a bit of strife then the Eagles. McCarthy gave it to Brock, who kicks beyond defensive 50. Wiedering surely gives away the free kick he has, going high on Harley Reid. And Reid will have it. Lights in full effect now. Starting with overcast conditions. Now dark skies. Night skies above Perth Stadium. The kick from Reid towards right half forward for West Coast. Off hands Wiedering. Down to Carroll. Worked it again to Haynes. Kicked around the body, and that's a strong grab. Win. In a pack. Just in front of the logo. Northern wing. Marks for West Coast. Takes a couple of steps forward. Shocking, wobbly-looking kick inside forward 50. Blues have got the numbers. Eventually they'll bring it away through Carroll.
Oh, straight to Duggan off the interchange.
Yep, Duggan just slipped on, and not much Williams could do about that. He's able to take the mark. Frustration for Carroll on that occasion. Duggan for West Coast. Kicks back towards right half forward. Oscar Allen comes out off his hands down to Hewitt of the Elijah variety, and we're going to have a ball up. Bridget Lacey's downstairs.
Harry Edwards just went down to the rooms with the doc, just holding his right arm. It might have been a wrist issue. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it was from that big contest with Chin Cotter at the start of the quarter to Reid. Harley from the stoppage. Danced away from a couple. Handball to Baker. Kick inside 50 on the chest of Jacob Wiedering for Carlton.
I actually think Chincotta's doing a job on Liam Baker, a really defensive forward job, but he's managed to impact with, I think, 5 score assists in the first half. That might have been happening in the first half. I didn't notice it, but he's definitely putting some time into Baker now.
There's a goal to his name, so doing well both ways is Alex Chincotta. Blake Acres from the back pocket, kicks up towards the broadcast wing. Flynn can't mark for West Coast. Graham gathers at ground level, kicks towards half forward again. Once again, Acres is there for Carlton. Under pressure, taken to ground by a couple of Eagles. Cripps, one of the tacklers, and the other was Jack Hutchinson. Both prominent tacklers. They took him to ground. Umpire will toss it up 40 metres out from the Eagles' attacking goal. Jack Williams in the ruck. De Koning reaches over the top. No one can take possession. Eventually Wiedering grabs it and is tackled by Jack Williams. We'll have another ball up 40 metres out from the Eagles' attacking goal. They trail by 47 points.
One down by Jack Williams for the Eagles. Oh, bursting through. Elijah Hewitt snaps on goal, misses right.
He wasn't to know, but he got through all of the traffic. Then Hewitt, he could have squared up. And
I was going to say, it was a real poor setup by West Coast. Had no one forward of it.
Cole was at his mercy. There's 2 footies on the ground as Silvani brings it back into play.
Kicks out towards the wing, and Flynn ends up taking the mark unopposed. Patrick Cripps was kind of looking around saying, where's my help? There's anyone else in the pack for Carlton. Flynn will send it back from whence it came, deep inside 50 to Koning. Jumped in front, could have almost marked it in the end. Wiedering at ground level kicks a grubbering ball back out to Flynn, who was clean below his knees, the big man. Got the handball to Harley Reid. Now Jack Graham just beyond right half forward, kicks inside the forward 50. De Koning spills an easy mark in the end. Sard was there to get support. Handball across to Jackson Binns into the right back pocket, and the sub, Corey Durden, with his first involvement. A dangerous kick in the middle of the 50. It's knocked down. Graham takes possession, goes short, easy kick to Tyrell Dewar in the left forward pocket.
I've liked this start by West Coast. They've locked it in their front half. Carlton haven't been able to get it out of there. A lot better structure from West Coast than how they started the game. And they get another shot at goal as a reward.
Tyrell Dewar. The left forward pocket will try and bend this one around the body. In the bright blue boots. Dewar plays on. Snap. Looks good off the boots. Just bends it a bit too far in the end. It misses to the near side. Minor score for West Coast. 3-6-24 the Eagles. The Blues are 10-9-69. 5 minutes played in the third term. Sunday evening footy on ABC Sport.
And Sard, space in front of him, goes on a bit of a run and delivers the kick perfectly to Boyd. Running by Hollins, receives the hand pass and he stabs it out in the direction of Durden. Sweeping hand pass forward to Binns. He's able to hit Williams on the chest. He marks for Carlton at right half forward. Puts the Blues into the right forward pocket but turns it over. Duggan reading it well. Heading out towards the boundary line in the left back pocket. Marks for West Coast defensively. Where does he go? It's told to move it on. So he's going to kick towards left half back. Front position though, Haynes. Marks for Carlton in front of Oscar Allen. Steers it inboard to George Hewitt, who marks. He's got one option behind him. Sard is the furthest player back for the Blues, and he stands in the centre circles. Step left, step right, and eventually went back towards the southern wing to Wiedering. There's been a deliberate, slow build-up for the Blues as Wiedering goes back again to Sard, who will go short and forward to George Hewitt. Sard on a run, receives the hand pass through the corridor, kicks inside forward 50. Spoil came from Cripps, through Williams to ground, and he'll get a free kick here. Just heaved him to the deck. It's going to be a free kick for Zach Williams. It's against McCarthy, I beg your pardon.
Kick 2 in the first half. Zach Williams.
I just don't know why Carlton would go back to that style of footy, Billy, when they just took the game on right from the get-go. Got 7 or 8 goals in front. Now they want to go back and around. I just don't get that. We're seeing probably why good teams can mow them down.
Zach Williams has 2 goals. He's looking for the first major of the second half. From 49 metres out, he's given it a ride, but just missing to the left-hand side. He's hit the left-hand goalpost. 10-10-70 Carlton, 3-6-24 the Eagles, 7 gone in the third.
Duggan, short kick out to Liam Baker, who as you mentioned, has Alex Chincona right on his tail, was able to take the mark, then switch it back across the face of goal to the right back pocket to Duggan again. Goes short, beyond defensive 50 to Bo Allen. Short further afield to Ryan Marrick, working their way slowly down the broadcast wing. Ryan Marrick, disposal number 12 coming up for him. Doesn't have an easy option, so kicks up the line to a pack, and De Koning works his way to the front, takes the mark. Maybe another good day is the Blues star. He kicks out, though, towards Haynes. Brockman was able to get there and knock it away from the Carlton defender. Coming through now, the Eagles have taken possession. Graham to Baker, to Bailey Williams. Kicks inside the forward 50. Wiedemann reads it best. And in the end takes a fairly comfortable mark on the chest. In the left back pocket, Jacob Weeding will reset play for the Blues.
Moves back towards the corridor to Chera, who marks. Between full-back and centre-half back for the Blues, out to Silvani. Kicks beyond defensive 50 towards the southern wing. A little bit on that, going up. Duggan couldn't quite get there, though. Hollins gets a hand pass away. On to Fantasia. Kicks towards Akers, who marks. Turns and goes. And he's missed. He's hit the left-hand goalpost from point-blank range. And that's got to go as one of the misses of the season. Goodness me, it was absolutely there for him, and somehow he's hit the left-hand goalpost. The Blues might be taking... They're still well in front. They're going to romp away to win, but taking things a little bit easily here.
I said to you before, Bella, he plays a similar role to what Ollie Dempsey plays at Geelong, who did the same thing yesterday, who missed a goal from 10 metres out.
And what was worse,
after he played on.
Motlop was lurking there as well. You could have hand passed it to him.
I'm not sure it'll cost the Blues. The Eagles go down the outer wing through Dewar, now Allen, who kicks up towards centre half forward. Off hands, trying to break through the pack was Baker. Dispossessed. Graham picked it up, gave it to Bailey Williams, who snaps across the body and there to take the mark. And centre half back is Sam Doherty. Almost played on, instead comes wide. Nice kick into the path of the running Nick Haynes. Kicks further afield to Motlop. Good work by McCarthy. Got there late, chopped it off. Able to handball it to Marrick. Back to McCarthy. Little handball forward to Brockman. Defensive side of the broadcast wing. Dance around a couple. Kicks up towards Harley Reid. Doherty gets a fist in. Reid able to gather and get the handball to Duggan. He's tackled, dispossessed. Brockman slides in, and don't see it often, but this one was there. It's kicking in danger. As Brockman socketed out of Tom De Koning's hands. Rarely see it paid. I could watch the replay. I'd suggest that one was probably worthy of the free kick as the Blues go down the middle. Lord drops the mark. Graham back onto it for West Coast. Handball's wide to Hutchinson under pressure from Cripps. Gets a handball to McCarthy, who takes off down the wing.
McCarthy, beautiful kick, finds Ryan between two Blues, puts the Eagles into the right forward pocket. Jamie Cripps gathers hard up against the boundary, wants the almost impossible. Snapping around the body, it's smashed in to the right hand behind post. So a free kick here to Wiedering for the Blues in the left back pocket. Goes across the face of goal to Binns, and he'll stab it short to Doherty. You get some random stuff, by the way, on the text message line, 0437 774 774. While Carlton are mucking around here as Doherty goes out towards right half back, and he finds Fantasia on a bit of a run.
Fantasia takes a couple of bounces, kicks down the southern wing, chopped off, unable to mark it, but nice defensive play nonetheless by Bo Allen out there. Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Yeah, Harry Edwards has come back up from the rooms with that right shoulder strapped up and looks good to continue. Jack Hutchinson also got some fresh strapping put on his left ankle, but he's back out there.
Play Hall, the sub for West Coast. Carlton have activated their sub already. Corey Durden into the game in place of Charlie Curnow. Was hurt in that first half. Meanwhile, from the restart, free kick going the way of Liam Baker, who was tackled untoward. Kicks along the southern wing to Jack Williams. He's able to take the mark and pause for a moment. He spins it in his hands. Eventually gets told, move it on by the umpire. Jack Williams kicks it towards Bailey Williams. Couldn't take the mark. Out the back, Wiedering tumbles a kick back in that direction. And Jack Williams takes it again.
Steps around for the Eagles. Puts it towards full forward. Flying up. That's a great grab. Leaping up into the air. West Coast are going to have a chance here. Coming back through Brockman. Surrounded by players as he hit the deck. And then they all just converged. And Brockman can go back and have a shot at goal. There's only one of them out there, and I still couldn't recognise him. It was a fair pack.
Yeah.
Got excuses. It was a good mark, wasn't it?
Terrific mark, and it's what West Coast players have to do regardless now. Just go for things like that.
Here he comes, Tyler Brockman. A little hop and a skip. And a goal. Brockman with the very first of this second term for both sides, and he's kicked the Eagles fourth. West Coast moved to be 4-6-30 to Carlton 10-11-71, and we've travelled 13 minutes in the third term.
Well, Belly, there's only 30 minutes of real-time football to go, and Carlton have just stopped. From that team we saw in the first 25 minutes, they're nowhere near the same team. So why wouldn't you just spring the Clay Hall thing into the game right now and see if you can gather a bit of momentum through the midfield? He's a clearance player. I mean, Hunt's still sitting on 2, start on the bench, not getting into the game. Take him out, or Harry Edwards is back out there, but make the change and see if they can just get a bit of momentum and take something out of the game.
I think you're Nostradamus, matey.
We'll get down to Bridget Lacey in just a moment. Ball back in the middle. George Hewitt gets a tumbling kick forward. Liam Ryan knocked off it. Tim Kelly comes in. Takes possession. High kick towards centre half forward. Cripps can't mark. Elijah Hewitt streaming through. Went without it. Sard was able to gather, and Carlton can exit towards the broadcast swing in the direction of Fogarty, who's pushed off it by McCarthy. Did well, the debutant. Handballed it across to Tyrell Dewar. Kicks up towards Oscar Allen. Jacob Wiedering, though, left half back for the Blues, able to punch it out of bounds. Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Yeah, I think Muddy does have a line to the West Coast coaches. Jaden Hunt sitting at the back of the bench, tactically subbed out, and Clay Hall into the game as called for.
And Harry Edwards, as mentioned, is back out there, has strapping on that right shoulder. Ball spun back in at right half forward for West Coast. They've kicked 3 straight goals in this contest. George Hewitt emerges with it for Carlton, though. Handball across to Jesse Motlop. Kick up the wing, looking for McGovern. Taps it down to Chincotta. Beautifully done by the Blues. Chincotta handballs back to McGovern. Spearing low kick to Zach Williams. Marks on his chest. Has a couple of options in the forward 50. Pokes it into the path of Fantasia, who has another fresh area. It's contagious. The Eagles win it back, and Jimby has it in the right back pocket. Handballs to Hewitt. Now back to Jimby.
That was Hewitt for West Coast to Jimby, whose kick was smothered. Oh, I thought it was smothered as it's ricocheted away. Instead, it's going to be a free kick out of bounds on the full. So it was just a shocking kick. So Binns is able to get it. He'll move it short to Chera. Chera inboard kick. Oh, Hollins dropped the mark. Ryan goes crashing in for the Eagles. Knocked it away from him. Marrick kept the ball in motion. Elijah Hewitt couldn't gather. Picked up here by Binns. Now on to Hollins for the Blues. Across half forward to Chincotta. 51 out. I'll take an advantage from a free kick here, the Blues, but kick from Chincotta, not what he was hoping for, and it's marked defensively at full back by Brock. And Brock will move it short to Hutchinson, still in the left back pocket. I mentioned before, great text on the text line. How about this? I don't need or want to see much of people's bottoms, but it can't be unseen. The worst clothes I've ever seen are safari suits. Yuck. I've got no idea what that means, but thanks for getting in touch with us here. This is the footy, Sunday night footy on ABC Sport from Perth Stadium, that currently has Carlton in front by 41 points. I'd also like to know who you can send that text to anyway to start with. West Coast win the ball. Just on the outer edge of the ground. That's McCarthy, the debutant. Worked it on to Dewar. Comes out now to Paddy, to Cripps. Jamie Cripps kicks inside forward 50. Flynn can't mark. Scooped up by Binns. Binns wobbles a kick towards centre wing, out of side. There is O'Keefe, second gamer. On his hands and knees, got up, and a hand pass back to Lord, then to George Hewitt, couldn't take it, knocked forward by Hewitt of the Blues. Jack Williams tried to work it back again. Here is Clay Hall, who turns it over with his first kick down the throat of Chera. And he has it at right half back for the Blues, who still lead by a lot on the scoreboard. Carlton by 41 points, 16 gone in the third.
It's suddenly become very fumbly, Carlton as well.
They've gone across their own defensive 50, and now Sard marks it. Has players over the top. The ease of the overlap today for Carlton has been astounding. Hollins gathered it, stepped around the pressure from Ryan. Little kick to Motlop. It's not clean from the Blues, but they're just doing it under no pressure. Chera's kick inside 50. Durden marks. Crashed into in the end by Liam Baker. Nothing untoward. He'll go back. Set shot from 40 metres out. Slightest of angles to the left.
Geez, it is two different teams of Carlton we're watching. I mean, West Coast were nothing in the first quarter, but they are putting up a much better show. But you can see why they get mowed down by good teams. And West Coast are only just not being able to hit the scoreboard. They're 2 or 3 straight kicks away from getting back into this game, but they just haven't got it.
It's been really easy for the Blues. Charlie Curnow's been subbed off. Corey Durden subbed in, has the ball in hand. Kick on goal. Straight swap, goal kicker for goal kicker for the Blues. Don't worry, no Charlie. Corey Durden will do the job. Gets his first goal of the afternoon. 11-11-77 Carlton. West Coast to 4-6-30. 18 minutes played in the third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Our experts, both dual premiership players. The only place you'll find that in footy broadcasts here in the West. Peter Bell and Chris Waterman.
Very open game now, and even though Carlton's skills weren't precise, there was so much space that they were able to miss some kicks and half volley some kicks and still get it to Durden. He's just fresh into the game.
Has there ever been a case where a debutante's got best player on the ground?
Chris Judd for East Perth.
Yeah. Well, maybe not so on the ground, but for his team anyway.
Michael Barlow, maybe. He had a pretty good debut for the Dockers.
Matt Rowell was pretty good early.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't
3
he
times in a row.
Absolutely dominating until the shoulder injury. Blues try to work this ball out through Hewitt. Got it to Cherry in the middle. Another fresh airy. Gee, there's been a few of them. It's from Elijah Hewitt. Grain picks it up for the Eagles. Gives it to Ryan. Kicks towards full forward. Misses. Jack Williams over the boundary line for a throw. And since the Socceroos played here, no one has really been able to make any contact with a soccered ball. And when they have, even then they nearly missed, which is exactly what we saw from Fogarty in this opening term.
It's a pet hate of most coaches when you've got time to pick it up. Don't try and soccer it out of midair.
Ali J against the Koning, neither with the telling tap. It comes down here for Brockman. Worked it onto Dewar. Kicks around the body towards full forward. Spoiled away by the Blues. And over the boundary line, it's actually flicked the behind post, the right-hand behind post along the way, but still a throw-in, right full forward for West Coast, going to the city end of Perth Stadium. This is the third turn, nearly 20 minutes gone, still Carlton by 47 points over the Eagles.
Did that soccer line include everyone but Aziz Bayic that night as well?
Yeah, pretty
much. Of games. Ball spun back in, off hands to Koning, had a couple grabs of it, then lost it. Brockman coming through for West Coast to Jack Graham, goes laterally to Tyrell Dewar, marks on the 50 at right half forward, plays on, goes short, and Bailey J. Williams is there to take the mark, and will have a chance for goal number 2. And I mean, if he does kick it, 4 of the last 5 goals to West Coast.
Well, from here, the kick to Dewar looked 14 or 15 metres, and he was called to play on, and then kick from Dewar to Williams looked 12 or 13, and that was paid as a mark.
I think you just got to add things up and get to 30, and they'll make those. So that's about right. I know your math there was about 26, but that's okay. Bailey J. Williams. We are right behind the kick. Set shot on the way. He'll take 2 goals every day of the week, Bailey J. Williams. He doubles up. His second goal means it's 4 of the past 5 to West Coast. They move to 5-6-36. Carlton are 11-11-77. Margin is 41 points, 21 into the third. Sunday night footy on ABC Sport. Get the thought of our experts. Keep sending your texts in as well. We get Clint Wilden to start reading some of those out. There's some rippers there. I like some of your suggestions.
Well, in all seriousness, West Coast have just lacked the ability thus far to put some pressure back on Carlton because they've had opportunity. They just haven't been able to take their opportunity, and for whatever reason, Carlton have just dropped away, really. I know Durden kicked a goal, but other than that, it's been pretty lean going for them in the last quarter and a bit as well.
They needed one. It was just reward for their effort this quarter.
Danny on the text. Hi, boys. The green ginger wine suggestion was a very good idea. The game seems much more enjoyable now. Thanks. That's from Danny. As Harley Reid wins a free kick in the centre circles from the restart, and he immediately kicks towards right half forward. Johnny Cripps almost marked it. Gathered, though. Wobbled a kick along the ground inside forward 50 for the Eagles. Allen couldn't take it. Neither could Hall. Emerging with it, Dewar. He's at right half forward. Kicks it back towards full forward. Flying up Marek. Gave it absolutely everything to get to it. Couldn't.
Ooh, he'd be disappointed, Marek. He had a good fly at it and both hands to it. Nice ground ball from Clay Hall. Came in clean when he had to be.
It's flicked the left hand behind post on the way through, so it's going to be a throw-in. Right next to that. Jack Williams palmed it down. Here's Bailey J. Breaks one. Had a swing at it. Couldn't get clean contact. Great effort to try to make absolutely sure that it wasn't a goal. It was Nick Haynes. He got past him, Bailey J, and he turned Haynes and eventually was able to complete the tackle. So a minor score instead. 11-11-77 the Blues. 5-7-37 the Eagles. 23 gone in the third.
Sard short to Doherty and about 20 metres back to Sard. Umpire said play on though. Now back to Doherty by hand, who goes back to Wiedering right next to his defensive goal square. Feel like they were 15, but that's okay. Wiedering chooses himself to play on this time. He takes the power, kicks it up outside defensive 50 to the wing, and it's punched away by Matt Flynn of the Eagles, and it's over the boundary line for a boundary throw-in.
Here's a suggestion. Rob from Greenborough says, I remember Michael Mansfield debuting for Geelong and absolutely starring. Not sure if he got the Brownlow votes that day, but it was outstanding. He must have been close for best on ground.
I'll look it up and see if I can find anything on Michael Mansfield as the ball goes over the back of Koning and Flynn from the restart. Trying to flick the ball to Kelly with the Eagles. Coming through now is Liam Duggan, who is tackled and he's not going anywhere. Attacking side of the southern wing for the West Coast Eagles. Ball will be tossed aloft. Flynn worked Koning out of it. Did well, did Flynn. Took it out of the ruck. Handballs to Duggan. Kicks inside the forward 50. Big fist coming from behind by McGovern. That's Mitch, the Carlton variety. Ball's at ground level out there inside the Eagles forward 50. Cripps fighting with Sard, Binns, Mitch, McGovern. That's Jamie Cripps who is fighting through. Anyway, it's a ball up 40 metres out. Just inside right half forward for the Eagles.
Mitch McGovern spare behind the ball there. Came in and affected a big spoil.
Ball tossed in the air again. Koning knocks it out into space beyond defensive 50. A little bump on Dura allowed Carroll to get the ball out the back. Handball over the top to Hollands. To Fogarty under pressure from Duggan. Handball's out further along the broadcast wing to Carroll. Kick up towards left half forward. O'Keefe couldn't take the mark, but did well to keep his feet, gather at ground level, and his kick to Jinby is turned over. And he's cramping or he's done a right hamstring, but he's pulled up very, very lame on the way he saw, and Jinby has the ball.
He's staying out there for the moment, the second gamer. Jinby runs to the left back pocket and then kicks short. Hutchinson marks and spread it back to Duggan. He drops the mark between fullback and centre half back, but had plenty of time to steady. Works it out to Tom McCarthy, number one pick in the 2025 mid-season draft, on debut today. Now to Reid on centre wing. Puts West Coast towards right half forward to Dewar. Has options inside forward 50. Not a great kick inside though. Bounced in front of Sard, who shares it with McGovern for the Blues. Back to Sard. Bounce in front of Binns from the kick. Gives it to Holland. Now to Paddy Cripps. Short hand pass to George Hewitt. Not sure where to go. Decides to go back again. Here's Binns once more. Working it down towards Durden, who slides out and take the mark. By the way, George Hewitt's got 28 disposals at the moment, and McCarthy on debut, 24 for West Coast.
Durden inboard to Jackson. Binns kick to left half forward. Then Blues have a couple of numbers. Dropping in front, taking the mark is Fogarty, who'll have the chance for a set shot at kick from about 50 metres out if he takes it left half forward. Just worse than a 45-degree angle. Some good suggestions coming on the text line. I think there's a bit of a typo here, but I think that text from Paul, is it? Adrian McAdam he was referring to for North Melbourne. Kicks 8 on debut. Fogarty plays on by hand to Jack Silvani, who runs past, kicks it off the side of his boot, deep inside attacking 50. Here's Tom McCarthy. Gives it to Sandy Brock, who is tackled and drops it. Corey Durden got in. Holding the ball. Didn't work out initially for Carlton, but they get a free kick. Tighter angle in the right forward pocket, but a lot closer, about 25 metres out. Strange old game of football.
Yeah, well, there was Tyrell Dewey just walking straight in. I mean, Oscar Allen was sitting there by himself.
He was out, wasn't he, that last inside 50, and it was like he just didn't want to kick it to him.
He paused for a couple of seconds and then blew the kick. I mean,
eyes were darting left and didn't realise he had one right in front of him.
And here we are at the other end having a shot at goal for the opposition, so it could be a 12-point swing.
Corey Durden, the sub, already has one goal, a chance for two. Durden Drop punt from the tight angle. He misses everything and does not change the score. He hits the left behind post out of bounds on the full. So the margin will remain at 40 points. Carlton 11-11, 77. West Coast 5-7, 37, and even 40 points. As we hit three-quarter time before Clint Wheeldon, Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Yeah, Hudson O'Keefe, you guys mentioned it, looked like he pulled a hammy chasing after an Eagles player, and he did come to the bench very shortly after that and had the towel over his head looking really disappointed. So I'll chase up confirmation on whether he's actually done his hamstring there or not.
Good on you, Bridge. Let's have a look at the goal kickers for the Blues. Lockie Fogarty's got 3. Mitch McGovern with 2. Zach Williams with a couple. And then singles to Koning. Corey Durden, who's been a substitute. Charlie Curnow, who has been subbed off. And Alex Chincotta. While for West Coast, their 5 goals. 2 to Bailey J. Williams. And singles to Tyler Brockman, Elijah Hewitt and to Jamie Cripps. Carlton leading at three-quarter time by 40 points. They led by 39 points at quarter time, by 46 at half-time, and by 40 points at three-quarter time. By the way, Michael Mansfield on debut for Geelong back in 1990, round 18 at Cardinia Park, had 22 disposals, 20 kicks, 7 marks, didn't kick a goal. Paul Couch had 29 disposals that day. Gary Ablett kicked a lazy 8 goals, 3. So I'm not sure he would have got the 3 Brownlow goals.
Mickey Mansfield went and played at Carlton too. He finished off there in the mid-90s.
He got 3 in his 4th game.
Good player.
Mansfield, so it wasn't far off.
It was always he was dashing, wasn't he? He loved to take his ground. That's what I remember about him. Had that raking left.
Probably would have won, I think it was a 92 grand final. If it wasn't for Peter Matera, probably would have won the Norm Smith medal. It was outstanding.
And we're talking about debuts because Tom McCarthy's had 25
That's why I said it.
As a mid-season draftee.
But it was his run belly off half-back. He was providing something and hitting targets. That's why I said he's West Coast best player by a mile here.
Which is incredible to think when you come in after being picked up just a couple of weeks ago in the mid-season draft. We'll hear more from our experts, Chris Waterman and Peter Bell, both dual premiership players, in just a moment. But wherever you are on ABC Sport, ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and of course streaming on the ABC Listen app, this is Sunday Night Footy.
Health hacks, quacks, diet traps, scam apps. On the ABC Listen app, find healthier health podcasts like
All in the Mind,
The Health Report, and
What's That Rash?
Your Weekly Dose of Health on the ABC Listen app.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Just hot off the presses from Carlton, they have confirmed that Charlie Curnow is out of this game as suspected. They're saying calf tightness.
Steps around for the Eagles, puts it towards full forward, flying up. That's a great grab through Brockman. Here he comes, Tyler Brockman. Will hop and skip and a goal.
Cherris kick inside 50, Durden marks, crashed into in the end by Liam Baker. Nothing untoward. It's been really easy for the Blues. Charlie Curnow's been subbed off. Corey Durden subbed in, has the ball in hand. Kick on goal. Straight swap, goal kicker for goal kicker for the Blues. Don't worry, no Charlie. Corey Durden will do the job. Gets his first goal of the afternoon. Jack Graham goes laterally to Tyrell Dewar. Marks on the 50 at right half forward. Plays on, goes short. And Bailey J. Williams is there to take the mark and will have a chance for goal number 2. We are right behind the kick. Set shot on the way. He'll take 2 goals every day of the week, Bailey J. Williams. He doubles up.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
It is three-quarter time here at First Stadium, and Carlton lead the West Coast Eagles by 40 points. A bad effort from West Coast at times during that quarter, but you still get a feeling that the Blues really could be ahead by 10 goals plus. Certainly the way they began tonight. Charlie Curnow is the big story. He has been subbed out just to potentially make matters worse for Carlton too. Hudson O'Keefe, not sure whether it was cramp or whether it is a hamstring issue, but he's headed his way to the bench. Bridget Lacey will update more in just
watching
a moment.
Jack Silvani go down to the rooms as well, and he wasn't moving terrifically well. They didn't look too concerned, but we'll get Bridge to keep an eye on Jack as well.
Let's get the thoughts of our experts. Dual premiership players Peter Bell and Chris Waterman on ABC Sport.
Well, you just mentioned you get the feeling Carlton could be another 5 or 6 in front, but when you go back through situations of the game, West Coast have had half a dozen at least brain fades. I mean, Harry Edwards push on Mitch, and even just then Tyrell Dewar. I mean, from where we're sitting, it was very easy, but if you want to be a good player at that level, Belly, I mean, Oscar Allen's sitting inside 50 by himself. You've got to take it. So, but I am just surprised and not surprised in one bit that now I know why Carlton get mowed down. They've just stopped Belly after quarter time.
Yeah.
And this is not a great team they're playing. After being scintillating in the first 30 minutes, they were just unbelievable.
They're amazing in that first quarter, and then it was pretty even in the second, and West Coast win the third, which would please Andrew McQualter.
Yep.
And probably upset Michael Vosch, really, because there's nothing in quarters 2 and 3 that resembled what they were able to do in the first quarter. And, of course, that can't be sustained, but it's like they became a different team, Carlton.
But you know what the fix is for Carlton now? Almost got to go to, even it might be a nice warm summer's day at the G. You might have to get the bottle out anyway. Right, boys, it's half time. We need to kick another 10, not stop.
Just checking some of the stats. George Hewitt's on 28 disposals. Jack Sabin's 25. Tom McCarthy has 25 touches at 96% disposal efficiency. So trying to figure out if that's a record yet or not for the Eagles.
Tap one down here by Flynn, but it's going to be Blues who take it away. Busting his way out of a tackle was Paddy Cripps. Kicked inside forward 50. The lead from McGovern. Magnificent. Right up the corridor, marking 40 out from goal.
Perfect start to the quarter, wasn't it? Cripps ripped the ball out of the centre. I thought he may have done the high fend-off on Matty Flynn. The umpire had a good look at it, decided, no, all clear. McGovern came steaming out of full forward.
Mitch McGovern's got 2 already tonight. He's right in front. Kicks from 45 metres out. He's got his third. Joins Lockie Fogarty as the game's leading goal kicker. And that's the start the Blues would have wanted to this final term. 12-11-83. The Eagles are 5-7-37, opening 45 seconds or so in this game. And while Carlton don't finish tremendously well, they've won just 4 final terms this quarter. This year, West Coast has won just 1 final quarter for the entire season. Bridget Lacey was downstairs. Bridge.
Yeah, Hudson O'Keefe unfortunately has joined Charlie Curnow at the back of the bench for Carlton. He has ice on his right hamstring, so you guys correctly diagnosed that on the spot. And as Belly mentioned, Jack Silvani went down the rooms with the doctor. So right now, the Blues were just 2 on the bench.
2 on the bench, but a lead of 46 points for Carlton, who, as Clint said, haven't been great in the back halves or second halves of games this year, but they couldn't imagine possibly lose this, could they? Cripps receives it from Cherry in the middle, was under pressure from Clay Hall, got it back to Cherry, kick inside the forward 50. McGovern had a couple of grabs of it, couldn't take the mark. Handball was looking for Fogarty. Duggan knocks it away from him through traffic. Well done by Allen for the Eagles. That's Bow. Kicks out towards the broadcast swing, looking for Harley Reid. Carroll is there to see the ball out of bounds away from Harley Reid. Right between the interchange gates. It'll be a boundary throw-in.
And Bo Allen demonstrating a real strength to his game, which is that burst. It was a clean ground ball and then some burst, and then probably the RFI for him, which is just hitting those targets when he gets a chance.
Ball spun back in off the restart. Akers gets it to Chera. Handball forward to George Hewitt. Now to Patrick Cripps. Overlap handball to Blake Akers under pressure from Jack Graham. Tackled over the boundary line, and the boundary line did not save him. He did a full 360, and the umpire said that is holding the ball, so Jack Graham will take the free kick, go up the wing. Chera is there to punch it away from Jamie Cripps out of bounds. Right below our broadcast position, it's the Blues by 46 points. Coming up on 3 minutes into the final term, Sunday night footy on ABC Sport.
It's just a little bit of Jack Graham's game. Needs to rub off on a few other blokes at West Coast. No matter what, he will just have a go.
Ball's put back into play. DeConing front position. Won it down against Flynn. Chera able to hand pass back into traffic, and then pressure came again from Graham on George Hewitt. The ball's over for a boundary throwing. It's Jack Graham, a dual premiership player in 2017 and 2020. Richmond before coming across this year for West Coast. DeConing front position, won it down. Elijah Hewitt might have been infringed. Umpire says play on. Ollie Holland shoves it forward. Good tackle, Jack Graham on Paddy Cripps. Ball jars free. Kick comes deep inside forward 50. Reid flew very early again. Umpire says we'll play on. The ball's across the boundary line. It's going to be a throw-in deep in the left forward pocket. Thoughts, Mitch?
How's that not a free kick? Nowhere near it.
I didn't touch the ball.
Sorry, I missed it.
Did he touch it?
Oh, it was Harley trying to get a new car again, Billy. That's all
He
it
missed
was.
it by like 10 metres.
Yeah, I wasn't sure he touched it. If he's touched it, that's why. But anyway, coming through, and that's a socket effort from Bailey J. Williams.
I missed it because Graham smashed Paddy Cripps in a big tackle, and I thought Paddy might have been a bit ginger when he got up. He took some time on the ground, but all good.
It's bobbled over the boundary line for another throwing. Left forward pocket. Again, Bailey J against De Koning. It's right back towards where we were. Over the boundary line once more. Almost crashing into Paul Kane downstairs from Getty. G'day, Paul. Nice to know you're listening in. I saw the smile when he got the mention. Hello to you. Leaning up against the fence, one of the best photographers in the business.
He just adjusted his earphones. I could see him smiling down there, Paul Kane. The Eagles from the stoppage. Jamie Cripps, handball to Marek. His kick was smothered as he attempted the shot on goal, and Chera can't pull himself up before the line and runs out of bounds. Right next to the behind post left forward pocket. Graham Farmer freeway end. The Eagles scoring end. Two ruckmen are very, very, very deep. Bailey Williams just gets his hand to the ball. Comes down to Harley Reid. A little fend off. Handball to Elijah Hewitt. Now to Jack Graham. Running away from goal. Snaps it around his body to the top of the goal square. And Nick Haynes is often done. Throughout his career, the former All-Australian at the Giants, he takes the intercept mark. And there was a time where he was probably the best intercepting halfback flanker in the comp. And he's playing good footy again as he goes short and side, defensive 50 to Chera.
Got the answer for the no free kick against Harley Reid because he jumped on Bailey J. So friendly fire. Used his own teammate as a step ladder, so that's okay. Kick beyond defensive 50. It comes here for the Blues to Akers, who flare it back inboard to Chera. Chera kicks into the middle of the ground. This is nicely worked to Saad. There's free Blues everywhere, and Saad will go short, but too short. He wanted Paddy Cripps, and Ryan's done well. Getting back there, knocked it to ground, gathered and moves it short to Hall. Clay Hall turns around, kicks inside forward 50 and finds Bailey J. Williams. Despite the closing efforts of Haynes, he could have gone over the top if he'd wanted to, but would have needed to do that immediately. Harley Reid was on his own in the goal square, but that option was closed down by Wiedering. So now Bailey J is going to have to go back and have a shot from about 47 out, just better than a 45-degree angle to the right.
Done some good things, Liam Ryan. Not a huge possession day, but there's been some high impact from his disposals. Won the intercept across half-back, and Bailey Williams potentially kicking his third.
Pretty good from set shots usually, Bailey Williams. Here he comes. Bailey J. Williams' kick is straight and true for West Coast. And they've got their first of the final term. 6-7-43, the Eagles. They cut Carlton's lead back to what it was. 40 points, 12-11-83. For the first time, Big Bailey J has kicked 3 goals in a game in his career. Before we hear from Peter Bell and from Chris Waterman, Bridget Lacey downstairs.
Yeah, guys, Carlton have confirmed that Jack Silvani is down in the rooms doing a head injury assessment. So I didn't see the incident where he might have got a head knock, but that's why he's down there. So
he got hit late, and I can't remember who got him, but it was a late hit as he went inside when he had that shot running off the handball from Fogarty.
So that's a third one down. They've already subbed and 2 out on the bench. They're very lucky this is not a close game.
So they are down a few players, Carlton, but they are up on the scoreboard, and that's what matters. Kick from De Koning towards half forward. Motlop can't take the mark, becomes tackler on Duggan, and they're tied up right at centre half forward for the Blues. Margin is 40 points again. Flynn tries to knock it down to a teammate. Instead, only found Motlop. He went without it, though. George Hewitt tossed it out. Clay Hall for West Coast. Now George Hewitt again for the Blues. Gives it to Binns. Kick towards the top of the goal square. Brock knocks it away. Durden is lurking. So too is Zach Williams. Keeps it alive. Tightrope on the boundary. Kicks it straight up in the air. A number of players go after it. No one could get a fist on it. In the end, it ricocheted off what appeared to be a leg, but The umpire, probably in a bit of confusion, says, you know what, let's just toss it back in 20 metres around in the left forward pocket from the goal face. The crowd number, 43,803. They turn up every week, the Eagles fans. Ball tossed back in, out of the ruck knock to Koning. Snapped it, missed it to the left. So that will be 12-12-84. Carlton, 6-7-43. West Coast, 41-point margin. That crowd figure again, 43,803. They just rock up every week.
Here's McCarthy again. Finds Jack Hutchison in the left back pocket. 24-year-old wanted it back through the corridor. Hutchinson eventually will send it to him. He gets it marking right on the defensive 50 arc. Play it back into the corridor once more.
He's going to have 30 soon.
He is. He's got it back a second time by sharing it with Bo Allen. And here he is kicking towards the outer wing, and it's a precise kick between two Blues, and it found Dewar. So he's got 28 disposals on debut, Tom McCarthy. It's a bright spot and a great pickup in the mid-season draft for the Eagles. The kick is to right half forward. Flying Brockman. Couldn't mark. Was able to hand pass off the deck to Kelly. The Eagles through hands. Hall and then Duggan inside forward 50. Comes off hands again from the pack to Ryan. Here's Harley Reid spinning, shooting, kicking the goal. His first of the afternoon. And the Eagles making the scoreboard look a little more respectable. Carlton's lead is 35 points now. They're 12-12-84. The Eagles with their 7-7-49.
Well, just a bit of cleanness. I mean, this game's been flipped on its head since quarter time, Billy.
Well, he's so powerful, Harley, and I know that's very obvious, but he actually fumbled.
Yeah.
He still had time to put the step on and kick a pretty difficult goal. You got to love the debut for McCarthy. Just the penetration of that kick all the way over to Dewar on the wing. I mean, it wasn't an easy kick, but he made it look easy. 28 disposals. I know some of those have been kick-ins, but it's the ground balls as well. And
taken the game on.
Yep.
He hasn't been infiltrated in his mind any other way.
This might be a...
don't tell me it's
the
post.
I think it's an overall. I reckon it's Sarge got his hand on it.
Yeah. Well, that's the sort of day West Coast have had.
It ruins my book. Sard got the finger on it, on the smother. So he just nipped the finger, and it is instead a minor score. Well done, Adam Sard. It changes the score. It ruins our commentary books. So just completely cross that line out. I can't unhighlight Harley Reid. I can just do a scribble. He was shaking his head because he's run to the bench to kick the goal, and he never kicked it.
That's a good effort from Sard.
Just a rotation for Harley Reid that may not have happened at that exact moment.
So it's instead a 40-point lead to the Blues.
So it is 12-12-84 to 6-8-44 as Carlton are just kind of working it from one side of the goal face to the other, and eventually Wiedering kicks it outside defensive 50 to Nick Haynes. Nick Haynes goes up the wing looking for Fogarty. It was knocked away from him. Did well, though, to gather under pressure, get it back to Haynes, then to George Hewitt, who goes short to Patrick Cripps, who was dragged down after he marked it by Graham. Umpire said it was okay. Disposal only 18 for Patrick Cripps. He's had a quiet night for the skipper. They haven't needed him too much. Goes further afield, right in front of the Blues bench on the broadcast wing to Lockie Fogarty. Fogarty goes for a run. Tight kick towards the boundary line. McGovern, sticky mitts, takes the mark. Mitch McGovern right on the boundary. About 48 metres out from home. Goes short into the pocket. The mark is taken by Fantasia.
Great mark, Mitch McGovern. He was under a lot of heat. I think it was from Edwards in the marking contest.
Couldn't afford to double grab it.
No,
would have been out of bounds.
Right on the boundary line.
We've seen some good McGovern marks here. That might be Mitch's best. Jeremy not out there today. He's still undergoing awaiting the results of the concussion panel. Orazio Fantasia hasn't kicked a goal today. He's been involved a little bit. Fantasia, set shot, tight in the right forward pocket. That starts right. Is never really looking like a chance. Another minor score. 12-13-85 Carlton, 6-8-44 West Coast, 41-point margin. 13 into the last. Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Yeah, Jack Silvani has passed that HIA, just jogging up and down the boundary, getting ready to come back on.
Good news.
By the way, in recent times, the most disposals on debut belongs to Harry Sheasel, 34 when he made his debut in 2023. At the moment, Tom McCarthy, who is on the bench, has got 28. Blues turn it over across half forward. Akers' kick inside forward 50 is spoiled over the boundary line. He wanted McGovern. Instead, getting there was Edwards, punching it across for a throw-in. They're both a bit worse for wear from that collision.
Looks a bit sore in the shoulder there, Harry Edwards. He might have landed on it awkwardly. Outstretched. That'd be my guess. Already some strapping on there as well.
Both gone back to full forward. They're both still a little bit proppy. The Eagles will bring it away from the restart. Here's Baker taking a bounce, kicking out towards right half forward, stretching Dewar, couldn't mark but could drag it in. Binns in front of him. Dewar kicks the Eagles down the line, and Saad got in the way again.
Oscar Allen's on the ground at half forward. I'm not sure what's happened, but he doesn't look good.
Eagles through Duggan, now to Baker. The kick's into the right forward pocket. Jack Williams marks. Oscar Allen is still down. In the hands of three trainers.
I didn't see anyone that close to him either, so I'm actually really worried.
He's gone for
left leg, I think he grabbed.
Yeah, he went down to grab something then when he was on the ground, but I didn't see the incident too, Billy, so this is concerning for Oscar.
Got the left leg heavily strapped. Bridget Lacey will keep an eye on that while we watch this shot at goal. Jack Williams from the mark in the right forward pocket. 40 out from goal. He's pushed it across the face. It's a minor score. This is concerning.
Yeah, he's definitely hobbling on one of the legs. Looks like the strap legs are in a bit of trouble.
Bridget Lacey, what did you spot downstairs? Anything?
Yeah, I tend to agree with the guys. I don't think there was anyone around him. I think it was one of those ones where he just collapsed to the ground without any contact, because when I became aware of it, he was kind of trying to crawl himself along the ground, and he was grabbing at that lower left leg, so that looked bad.
Look, I shouldn't guess, but he looked back like the Achilles thing.
I saw him do that, Billy.
Someone hit me, and he couldn't believe it that there was no one around. I hope it's not that, but
that's the first telltale sign.
Who's looking around?
To say who hit me.
Yeah. He'll walk very close to Bridget Lacey here as Carlton are flicking the ball around the defensive 50, and Haynes can come out to the wing to Cooper Lord. He's got a look of shock on his face, Oscar Allen, which a look we haven't really seen from him, to be honest, much in the past. Just genuine shock of not sure what to make of it. He's headed straight down the race. Carlton are just playing possession footy from the wing to half back to the wing. Silvani sliding in and takes the mark. It's a big story. Oscar Allen, his future has been a massive subject of speculation. We'll wait and see what the news is as Wiedering exits defensive 50 for Carlton. It was chopped off by Williams, the Bailey variety. Harley Reid gathers. Nice little kick up towards left half forward, and Jamie Cripps able to take the mark. Here's a good long shot at goal, Jamie Cripps. He's going to have to kick it from outside 50 if he wants to take it on. Umpire called play on. Has a lead from Liam Ryan into the pocket, and a nice weighted kick and a nice mark in the long sleeves to Liam Ryan.
There's a bit of chemistry between Cripps and Ryan. They set up the Carlton defenders, and looks like that one had been rehearsed many, many times.
So Liam Ryan will kick a really tight angle just inside left half forward. He'll kick from about 45 metres out, start his approach outside the boundary. I've said it before, the long sleeves look beautiful on him. Nice blue, the royal blue of the Eagles. Number 1 on his back. Liam Ryan. The kick doesn't match the long sleeve. Struck it nicely. It's just away to the left. So it's another minor score to West Coast. They are 6-10-46. Carlton at 12-13-85. 39-point margin. 18 minutes into the final term.
Been trying to keep an eye on the television monitors to see if anything of Oscar Allen, but nothing so far. We'll have to wait for some vision from behind the goals when they can spot it. Long kick towards right half back from Carlton. Hutchison might have been taken high here. No, the umpire says he's just been locked up legally. Put your teeth back in, Clint. Boyd coming one way and McGovern the other. Ball up just forward of the wing for West Coast. Up into the air it goes. Flynn got the fingertips to it. De Koning out after it, and he's able to gather for the Blues. Wobbles a kick forward. That's a good mark. It's been hit at pace to Fogarty. And Marek understandably suggests, is that far enough to be a mark? I reckon it was, but only just, and it was hit with some pace. Fogarty will move it on for the Blues, kicking towards right half forward. Travelled over the pack and out to meet it. McGovern takes an uncontested grab. Will kick across half forward. He spotted Cincotta, who drops a mark he probably should have taken. Duggan coming the other way, put him under pressure. Baker gathers it, gave it to Kelly. Hands it off again to Dewar. Back to Baker, just shy of the wing. To Duggan once more. Kick was a little bit short, and punching it into the air was Silvani. Allows it to ricochet back to left half back, where Wiedering will mop up. Went back looking for Silvani, getting in front again. Duggan punched it down to Bailey J, to Jack Williams. On in turn once more to Graham. Kicks inside forward 50, can't find an Eagles target. De Koning was there. Gave it to a fellow Blue in Chera. 2-on-2 battle on the outer side. Akers was the Carlton player nearest the footy, was able to gather, got it to Durden, sweeping it forward to Doherty for the Blues, hands it off again to Akers, who continued his run, kicks inside forward 50, wanted Fantasia. McCarthy front position, knocked it up in the air, took the mark, then got knocked over by Akers, and now he'll get 50.
Make it 150. Give him a set shot.
Well, to be honest, it shouldn't have been there because Patrick Cripps got burnt running through the middle just then.
Didn't he? Blake Akers decided, no, I'll take this one. Thanks, Skip.
This will be disposal 29 on debut for Tom McCarthy.
Short to Bailey J. Williams, and he's just inside Tyrell Dewar, who received it. Instead of going laterally, he goes up towards right half forward, and Jack Graham has the ball. There is plenty of time to find that last touch for Tom McCarthy. Graham kicks it inside the forward 50. Harley Reid flying out, had a couple of grabs, was knocked away from him. Sard gave it to Lord. High kick towards right half back for the Blues. It'll come back. Marek takes the mark for West Coast. Man of the mark stands on the paint of 50 at left half forward. The kick goes into the middle of the ground, and here it is. Mark taken, Tom McCarthy. The mid-season pickup has 30 disposals as he goes out wide to the southern wing to Jimby.
And he's cramping.
Who goes to right half forward to Liam Ryan, who'll play on 55 metres out. Kicks it inside the forward 50. No mark taken. De Koning spilt it. Fogarty there for the Blues. Marek now over the top. Taps it towards Hutchinson, who is tackled by a Motlop. Ball up 50 metres out. So from stacking shelves a few years ago to stacking disposals for Tom McCarthy. Ball up left half forward, in between left half forward and centre half forward.
And stack them. Now he can rack them. Racking them up. 30 disposals. And there's a free kick spotted here in the way of West Coast at half forward. It's Harley Reid who wants the footy back.
He's got some cramp as well, Harley. Just reaching for that right hamstring.
Actually, it's gone to Flynn, I beg your pardon. So Flynn will have it.
Well, I think he was foxing then.
I reckon he was too. Flynn sends it inside forward 50. No mark taken. Graham gathers off the deck. Tackled strongly to ground. Motlop, one of two Blues who brought him down. About 25 out from the Eagles' attacking goal at the Farmer Freeway end of the stadium. That was Boyd. Cripps does the ruck work. That's the Paddy direction. Gave it out to Silvani. His kick was smothered. Bounced to Chera, though. And then hand passed on in turn to Akers, who finds De Koning, who marks it right half back. The Blues still comfortable leaders. They're up by 39 points. 23 gone in the final term. This is Sunday night footy on ABC Sports.
Spearing kick up the wing by De Koning. It's a lovely kick from a big man. Finds George Hewitt. Blake Akers was pushed to the ground further afield. It was like a slip and slide along across the wet turf of Perth Stadium. George Hewitt kicks it up towards right half forward, and Jinby comes over the top and just punches the ball out of play.
He's going to end up having a pretty solid game, Ruben. He's been up against it all night down there, but just kept firing away.
Yeah, love his competitiveness.
Funny thing is about this scoreboard, It's 5 goals 9 to 5 goals 9 since quarter time.
Ball back into play. Tom McCarthy make it 31 as his handball across towards Baker and Duggan, who can work it out towards Ryan Marrick at centre half back under pressure. It's a good effort in the end to, as Peter Bell said, good kick. He gets the ball across his body to Dewar on the southern wing. If you heard the cheer before, it's because the stats for Tom McCarthy came up on the screen. It said 30. It was wrong because he has 31 now. Dewar, bit of 1-2 action. Gets the ball up towards right half forward. Baker takes the mark. 55 out. Looking towards Hutchinson at the top of the goal square. Had a couple of grabs. Couldn't mark it. Hewitt flies through. Misses everything. It's just bounced on the boundary line as he tried to hack it off the deck. And it'll be a boundary throw in about 2 metres around from the left behind post in the forward 50 of the West Coast Eagles. And he is cramping Tom McCarthy. 31 touches will do that on debut.
31 touches. Can he get back on and try and match Harry Sheasel's 34? 2023, the biggest in recent memory. I'm sure there's more, but that stands out. Beyond defensive 50 for the Blues. Went to De Koning at right half back off his hands. Motlop gathered. He was tackled to ground by Hutchinson. It's a ball up.
Who's the highest rated player on the ground, Peter Bell?
You know, I just looked at that. It is T. McCarthy.
There you go. What a debut for West Coast. What a debut in the AFL. And the restart, the umpire, the non-controlling one, spotted a free kick. It's going Carlton's way. Instead, West Coast are able to get in the way as Reid tried to hand pass it forward to Marrick. He couldn't gather. It's over the boundary line for another throw-in. Bridget Lacey is downstairs, not far away from it, actually.
Yeah, to add to West Coast key position woes, Harry Edwards has looked very sore in the back half of this quarter, obviously with that shoulder, and he was also getting his hamstrings worked on, so staying on the bench.
You go, Mitch.
Oh, yeah. We've got time. The ball's just bobbing around the wing. I'll take it. Jimby picks it up for the Eagles. Tackled by Motlop, and the umpire will ball it up.
It's been that sort of game, really.
We'll have a ball up on the broadcast wing. So Charlie Curnow subbed out of the game for Carlton at half-time. Oscar Allen down in the rooms with a lower leg injury that did not look great for the Eagles as Marrick is tackled by Motlop and will restart again.
But at quarter time, we could have easily done the top 5 votes on the ground, Belly, but it's got considerably harder as the game's gone on.
Cripps, the Patrick variety, doing the ruck work against Flynn and actually got the hit out. Carlton emerged with it. Fogarty, little handball to Ollie Hollins, kicks up towards right half forward to Koning, can't mark over the top of Jimby. Williams was brilliant at ground level. Handball to Cripps, handball to Cooper Lord, kick to the top of the goal square. The little man Durden went over the top of Bo Allen, couldn't mark. Clay Hall, the Eagles sub on the ground, able to clear defensive 50 and little push on the Carlton player. Looks like Fogarty it is, so...
Yeah, Hewitt infringed.
He'll take the free kick at just between wing and half forward. Goes right to Nick Haynes, who has a player all on his own in the forward line who can take the mark. And it's Zach Williams.
It's unbelievable how much space he had inside 50
for a long
there.
time.
I reckon he had a, 15-metre radius around him.
Yeah.
I got the math right, is that right? The radius?
No.
Yeah.
You'd almost
Is Tom McCarthy on... well, there you go. I was about to say. Guess who's been playing on him all night? Tom McCarthy, and he's on the bench.
He's just got a pat on the shoulder as if to say, this won't be your fault, Tom.
He's got 2 goals. It'll make it 3. Zach Williams, 40 metres out. 45-degree angle to the right. The drop punt hits the left upright. Minor score. So he'll stay at just the 2 majors for the time being. That's been a great second half. Carlton 12-14, 86. The Eagles are 6-10, 46. We've played 27 in the final term here at Perth Stadium. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
So here, kick beyond defensive 50. Duggan to Graham to Brock for the Eagles. Working it through the middle. Elijah Hewitt to Jinby, who stabs the pass forward. Good hands. Harley Reid marks. He'll move it back into the middle of the ground. Here's Dewar. Just forward of the centre circles. Gets told to play on. He'll kick deep towards full forward. Jack Williams set himself and he takes the mark. Dragging it in, no more than 25 from goal. He'll start in line with the right hand behind post.
And a good night for the Williams in front of goal. If Jack is to kick this one, with Bailey J having 3 and Zach with 2.
So Jack just needs to get himself in the club.
It's a very themeish night tonight, isn't
put
it?
some pressure on him.
Doing it for the Williams everywhere. They're not Williams brothers, mind you. Here he comes. Jack Williams. He does get in the club of Williams goal kickers. And West Coast have got themselves another major. Carlton's lead cut back to 34 points. West Coast have kicked their seventh. They're 7-10-52 to Carlton 12-14-86. And it's been said a few times tonight, but bar a blistering beginning from the Blues, West Coast have been right in the mix in this game. And you can see why Carlton, up against the better clubs, really do struggle. 12-14-86 to 7-10-52, and we've travelled 29 minutes in the final term.
So that means West Coast, since quarter time, have won the match? Won the 3 quarters?
Yep, at this point in time they are. They're 5 points to the good.
From what I can gather, this is the first time an Eagles player has had 30 disposals this year. And it's Tom McCarthy on debut, which is a crazy stat. Tom De Koning has it in the middle of the ground for Carlton. Kicks it deep off the hands of Jimby. Couldn't take the mark. Now he becomes Rover as he gathers. Handballs wide to Dewar and Hall, who combine. Dewar brings it out the southern wing. Graham in front. Couldn't take the mark. Followed up well. Got it across to Elijah Hewitt. His handball looking for Baker was knocked away by Sard. Off to Chera, who kicks inside the forward 50. The siren sounds, and Carlton make it 2 wins in a row. They come to the West. They hand the Eagles more pain. Carlton moved to 6-7. They beat the Eagles by 34 points.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
So Carlton led by 39 points at quarter time, and from that point onwards went out to a 46-point lead at the half, led by 40 at three-quarter time, before West Coast cut the margin back to 34 points at the end of proceedings. For the Blues, as you heard from Mitch, it's a 6th win of the year. But apart from a big chunk of that first quarter, it was most unconvincing. They've got North Melbourne next. That's the early game on Saturday at the MCG.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.
For the Blues, 3 goals to Fogarty, 3 to Mitch McGovern. Zach Williams finished with a couple. Singles to De Koning, to Durden, to Curnow and to Chincotta. While for the West Coast Eagles, 3 to Bailey J. Williams, 1 to Jack Williams, 1 to Jamie Cripps, 1 to Brockman and 1 to Elijah Hewitt. So the Williams combining in total for 6 goals across the entire game. Carlton 12-14-86 to West Coast 7-10-52. The big story from the game will be those injury concerns. What has happened to Charlie Curnow, who was subbed out at half-time? Was it just a case of he's a bit sore? And Carlton understandably thought, we've got this one. So we'll find out very shortly on that. But for West Coast, and this is a big, big story for Oscar Allen and indeed for the West Coast Eagles. He is their co-captain. We know that he was being chased, and if West Coast hadn't been able to get him re-signed, it was likely to give the club a very, very handy extra draft pick through draft compensation. He's walked off down to the rooms, Achilles or knee. It did appear to be Achilles. There was no major contact from what we could see. We haven't spotted a replay yet, but had to leave the ground in the arms of the trainers. That's an enormous story for West Coast and also for the future of Oscar Allen. Let's get the thoughts of our experts on what they made of it all. The Blues winning by 34 points. They go back-to-back in terms of wins after the bye. Peter Bell and Chris Waterman, dual premiership players both, here on ABC Sport.
Odd game. The way that it changed complexion, the only way you describe it, particularly from a Carlton point of view, it was odd because they were blistering in that first quarter. You wouldn't see a team move the ball as swiftly and with as much power running and precision. They're rewarded on the scoreboard, and West Coast were lucky it wasn't worse really at quarter time, and then it became a pretty mediocre, mundane sort of affair between the two clubs where West Coast had their noses in front over the remaining 3 quarters, which is to their credit. When you get obliterated like that, it's not easy, but unfortunately for Carlton, that's a bit of a theme, isn't it? Just that...
that's the worry for them going forward, Billy, and that's what we've witnessed on the East Coast with even Essendon last week. They were just had a very similar quarter, blew them away, and Essendon were good enough to nearly pinch it at the end, so they were lucky there. But to walk away from tonight, I think that this is a 34-point margin. You kind of shake your head and go, well, 34 points in this day and age is doable. You can lose it or you can get up from there. But it was the way they went about it, Carlton. And then, the second quarter was Carlton could have got another 3 or 4, and West Coast blew 3 or 4. And after half-time, I think, as from quarter time, West Coast outscored them by 5 points, which is amazing. But the second half belonged to West Coast. They were just too far behind, not good enough, not enough weapons to put them away. And for some reason, Carlton, that's the bit I don't get. Why did Carlton stop, Billy? You're not winning a flag if you're playing 1 quarter of footy. You've got to play 4 quarters of hard nut footy, as you know. But good teams, if you allow a team like a West Coast back into the game, the top-end teams are going to mow you.
I suppose West Coast also, just at this stage with where they're at, they weren't even able to get just 1 or 2 more that might have got Carlton a bit jittery, even though the game had changed complexion. You didn't feel like Carlton were under any pressure at any stage as well. And so maybe a little bit of what Carlton were doing was around the injuries they had, and they had to slow things down because they were undermanned from a manpower perspective.
Well, they did pull the plug on Charlie Curnow early, didn't they? You know, obviously Jack Silvani got checked out.
And they had young O'Keefe as well. So they worked less rotations, and maybe that had something to do with it as well.
For West Coast, the big worry is now Oscar, and if it is what we saw and what we think could be an Achilles, which is season over for him, which is hard for Andrew McQualter coming into the season, thinking, well, you're going to get injuries, but not to Jake, Oscar, Gov, and potentially Harry Edwards. He's not going too flash, so they're your key pillars. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. You've got to, Sandy Brock keeps going, and maybe young Rhett Bazay comes in and fills the spot, and we find another. And you've obviously got Archer Reid, who they dropped out for a waffle game, and
you try and not speculate, but it kind of
looked that
a
way.
Quarter of my, there was no one else around. He stopped, and then he was looking over his shoulder on the ground as to what the hell happened then.
He looked back and reached down to his leg, and I thought, oh, what's he done here?
Yeah.
So the symptoms were there. Well, I mean, we'll find out. I mean, I'm getting messages from everywhere, and people were saying it really looked like an Achilles. So
the big story, that one. And look, Charlie's walking around and seemingly not too concerned, but such an important player.
Speaking of Charlie Curnow, he just spoke to the host broadcasters in Fox Footy about the reason he was subbed out. Let's have a listen.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, I've never really had a soft tissue before, and had a little bit of awareness, a little bit, in that first quarter. So we'll see how we go. It looks like it's going to be pretty fine going through the next couple of weeks. So looking forward to getting out against North Melbourne next week.
So you will play next week. Was it more precaution? I mean, was it just because you were up by nearly 50 points at half time?
No, not really. Look, as I said, I've never really had a calf issue before, and a soft tissue as any sense, and I can, fail a little bit. So, just got to be really careful with these things, I think, and go from there.
Sorry about the quality of that audio if you heard the same static that I did, but Charlie Curnow talking about a calf, the reason why he was subbed out, doesn't seem to be all that concerned, and you would understand with how much that they were in front by 46 points at half-time. The Blues thought, well, we'll just play safety first under these circumstances, so potentially some good news there for the Blues. Carlton 12-14-86 to West Coast 7-10-52 in front of a crowd of 43,803. There are other concerns, of course. O'Keefe coming off the ground and Silvani had the HIA for Carlton. Oscar Allen is the big story, and also Edwards did look a little bit sore. We'll find out more from the Eagles' rooms when we can. Mitch Turner's headed down there. Bridget Lacey's across in the Blues camp, and they're making their way off the field. Again, tremendous support for Carlton. They came out in big numbers again tonight, and those fans that are Blues supporters in the West and those that travelled across from the East be delighted the fact they picked up the points no matter how they did it. And it was, again, less than convincing after quarter time. They'll head back on the plane with 4 more points that keeps them in the finals race. Let's head down into the rooms. Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, nice cheer for the boys as they come in. A very nice contingent of family, friends and supporters in these rooms today. Obviously, there's quite a few West Australian boys in this Carlton team. Brian Cook's down here, Brad Lloyd. Michael Voss looks relatively happy. They're just circling up now. And as you said, Charlie looks pretty unconcerned about his calf awareness. Here we go. Mitch McGovern just a bit laid in with his 2 little ones. Here we go.
We are the Navy Blues. Woo! Dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team of Carlton. We're all the champions. Like to send us, keep our hands up. Never know that they be playing against the famous old Dark Blues.
Very cute children, but actually they're wearing half West Coast, half Carlton tops, so I'm wondering if they're...
They've got to be the McGovern kids, I would reckon, under those circumstances.
They've got to be Jeremy's kids then, don't they? I don't know what's going on there.
No,
anyway.
I watched one of the Carlton videos on the website, and Mitch was bringing his across, and he'd done very well to make sure that Blake Acres was helping look after them on the plane as well. So, yeah, maybe that's the reason why they're sharing. Anyhow, not sure we'll get an answer for you on that, but I'm just taking a guess from sitting up here. I'm sure Bridget can ask someone down in the Carlton camp. Certainly the issue most of all is going to be Oscar Allen, and we'll try and get someone or something from the West Coast rooms for you very shortly. I'm curious, Peter Bell, and just sum it up, you and Chris Waterman, the way that second half or second bit played out. We'll actually head downstairs, I reckon. Just hear Bridget in my ears. Bridget, you ready to go?
And we're lucky enough to have Nick Haynes wander over for a chat. Nick, really random one to start, but the 2 kids in the huddle there, they were wearing half West Coast, half Carlton. Can you tell us the story there, or do you know?
Yeah, it's probably fair enough. It's McGovern's, so obviously the 2 McGoverns, West Coast and Carlton, and then, yeah, that's all right. So supporting both teams, and he's a good bloke, so we'll let him pass.
Beautiful. So Jeremy's or Mitch's kids?
That was Mitch's, so a little bit controversial that he's got the West Coast, but yeah, we'll allow it. Hammer's a good little kid, so I think he was going for Carlton today, so it's good.
That is what confused me. Thanks for clearing that up. Good win today, Nick. Obviously tough conditions out there and a big trip across the nation, but good to get the 4 points.
Yeah, just really pleased how we started coming to Perth. Obviously a tough trip. West Coast has been in pretty good form, so to be able to hit them between the eyes early was great for the team, and we lost Charlie in that second quarter, and it was good to be able to just find a way in that second half and scrap away. So, yeah, it's good to come away with the 4 points in.
You did lose a couple of big boys, as you said, Charlie and O'Keefe, obviously, and then Jack Silvani also went off for a HIA. Did that create any problems for you guys down back, or did you have to readjust at all?
Just play a bit taller. We had O'Carroll and myself just play a bit taller, and I think we're pretty thankful that it was wet today, so helped us a little bit. But yeah, it was pretty sad to lose that in 2, and but we've got some good boys in the 2s ready to come in, so we're looking forward to them to show themselves.
Beautiful. I'll send you upstairs for some more questions. We've got Clint Wheeldon, Peter Bell and Chris Waterman.
Nick, well done, first of all, and the first quarter was amazing, irrepressible footy. How would you explain how the game sort of changed from then?
Yeah, it was an interesting game because it was pretty open in that first half, and we were able to, access the corridor and get it into some low-density numbers into our forward 50, and then I think just West Coast started to bring the heat, and it just became a tug of war after half-time, and their pressure ramped up, and it was pretty wet out there, and we did lose some tools, so it just then turned into a bit of a scrappy game in the end, but we're happy to just play that tug-of-war game in the second half and get away with the win.
And it looks like you've really found your groove and working out a really good partnership, I suppose, particularly with Wiedering and also Jack Silvani.
Yeah, them two are just great one-on-one defenders and able to come over and help as well, so we're strung into some games together now and starting to get a system that we're cohesive with, and they've got a lot of experience playing football, and I'm just loving playing with them. They're great players and good blokes as well.
So where do you go from here? It's Chris Waterman here, Nick. Where do you go from here? Is it the Red Eye tonight? Back to Melbourne, because you've got North Melbourne at the G on Saturday afternoon, which is another real big match for you guys.
Yeah, we've got a short turnaround, and we've got a couple of days off. So tomorrow and the next day off. So some boys are flying on the Red Eye tonight, so we'll enjoy that. And then some boys are flying tomorrow and some staying until Tuesday. So we've got a variety of people. So I'm on the Red Eye tonight. So got my eye mask ready and my pillow. So looking forward to, and then watch the golf in the morning. So let's see if Scotty can get up for a win.
And there's just become a conscious thing now around the group. I'm guessing Fossey's going to be throwing it down your throat from half-time here on in. You were so good first quarter last week against Essendon and nearly got mowed down. Terrific tonight, and West Coast couldn't get you, but they plateaued the game. That's just the big positive out of that, is that we know we can get so much better.
Yeah, exactly. We've if we stopped at half time every game, we'd be in top four probably. So, we know we can play that football. It's just been able to maintain it for 4 quarters, and if we're leading at half time, we know teams are going to come out and raise the pressure and raise the hunt. So we've got to be able to stand that as a group, and we're working through it, and I reckon we'll do it the second half of the year.
And just from a personal point of view, obviously it took you a little while to really settle in at Carlton, which is not unusual when you change clubs. What's the process like when you're doing that? And is it just finding the trust and the patterns of your teammates?
Yeah, it was, the first few rounds were just purely on me mistakes, fundamentals. So I just got to work and on my game and did a few extras and just got confidence that way. So basic fundamentals was where I was letting myself down. I just got to work and just believed in myself and just went from there. And we touched on it before, but having Wiedering and Silvani there in support, them doing their jobs to be able to beat the keys and then help as well, just really helps my game out as well.
I bet you've been asked this sort of question before, even if it's just from friends and family, but the difference going to a club on the northern frontier like the Giants to a club like Carlton, one of the big historic football clubs where the fans are so ferocious in their passion. What is that like?
Yeah, it's chalk and cheese actually. So spending 13 years up in Sydney, no one knew who I was for 13 years. So when you're away from the club, you forgot you were a footballer, but it's pretty hard to escape in Melbourne. But I'm just loving the opportunity to play, in massive crowds in big games, and I'm glad I was able to do that throughout my career. And I'm just really enjoying it now. So, it is a very different lifestyle and attention that you do from Melbourne to Sydney.
And so when you run out in front of those huge crowds, and I know that you played some big games, don't get me wrong, for the Giants, you certainly did, but how do you embrace the pressure? How do you deal with that when you're used to being, and again, this is not a criticism of the Giants, but you're not used to being in the spotlight as much as you certainly are going to be when you play for the Blues?
Yeah, I think this is my 14th year now, so I think I'm pretty experienced in that era, not letting that stuff get to me. So I just embrace big crowds, and just grateful that I'm able to play on the MCG in front of a massive crowd. And last year in the second half of the year I was playing too, so I'm just happy to be out there and very grateful that I can still run out on the MCG.
Really appreciate your time, Nick. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Nick Haynes downstairs. It's always interesting just for someone who goes from like a Giants or a Gold Coast. I remember Tom Lynch speaking about it as well when he headed down to Richmond. But you can just go about your business in the northern states, mostly as a footballer, and suddenly you're absolutely in the spotlight.
Yeah, and you're right, Clint, because he did play in some really big games and part of some really successful teams. But there's that, and then there's Carlton, which are a juggernaut in terms of support and what it's like at the MCG when their crowd are in full voice. Nick's been a fantastic player and been around for a long time, as we just heard from him. But what's really helped him is that because he's such a good aerialist and ability to just lay off his man and intercept. But he's played a lot of footy with Sam Taylor, Jack Buckley in recent times, although it did force him out of the team as well, as we just heard. And now Jacob Wiedering and Jack Silvani. It just plays to his strengths, being able to not have to play on the really big power forwards and trust in those teammates lets him take a few calculated risks, and he's such a good aerialist.
So I know, getting back to the question I was going to ask you, there'll be a bit from column A and a bit from column B. But was what happened after sort of the first 10 minutes of the second quarter on West Coast finding a way to apply some more pressure and get back into this game, or was it predominantly the way that Carlton changed what they were doing? What was it?
I'm a believer in it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
Actually. There's no doubt that Carlton, their intensity dropped, and sometimes that feeds the opposition a little bit as well, because West Coast, as good as Carlton were in the first quarter, West Coast were woeful in that first quarter. Couldn't get a hand on the ball, really. That's how good Carlton were, and they couldn't do anything to arrest the momentum. So it's a credit to them in some respects that they were able to fight their way into the match, but I reckon a bit of both, Clint.
I think that Carlton probably are well known now for stopping their games, and I think 10 minutes in the second quarter, West Coast players realised they've stopped doing what they were doing, and it just gave them a bit of confidence to eke their way into the game. So, yeah, no, it's not an ideal scenario for Carlton right now. But having said that, you just look at the ladder here, boys, and Gold Coast play GWS next week. They're both on 32. Fremantle play Essendon. Fremantle on 32. And if Carlton can beat North next week, they go to 28. So it's an important game for Fremantle v Essendon, or Essendon go to 28. But one of Gold Coast and GWS are going to be on 32 by the end of next weekend. And that puts Carlton, if they can win next week, one game from it. So
well, I'm laughing because Carlton have been fast starters, but North were fast starters last night and the week before as well.
Just call it at quarter time. Okay, first, whoever's in front at quarter time, that'll do us.
Well, fast starters.
It just creates for an interesting round of fixtures, and some people think it's over, but if that. Yeah, Carlton should be a game out next weekend.
That Gold Coast GWS game's a big one, isn't it?
It's huge.
Given the congestion that you've just articulated.
And Gold Coast is still a game behind.
That's right, yep.
They've got one up their sleeve.
They've got the one against the Bombers.
So it's probably even more important for them to beat GWS.
One issue that's just come out of the game is Harley Reid with a little incident. Got tackled by Fogarty in the middle of the ground. Threw out the left arm, has got Fogarty in the head with let's call it a stray elbow would be the best way to describe it. Fogarty didn't seem to have any dramas. He played on. He was okay. Is Reid in any trouble?
Are you saying there was only one incident from Harley tonight?
He had the angry pill.
There was about
tonight.
a dozen.
There's
four mark of the year attempts.
He had an exchange with Adam Chera deep in. I can't remember whose end it was, but it was a long time. He was on top of Chera, and there were some interesting body positions, shall we say?
Even when he's just around the pack, he just puts a bit of mayo and everything. It's not. He just wants to touch someone.
And there was slid out and almost cleaned up a player as well down in front of us. That's a bit of what you get with Harley. The only reason this is particularly a bigger issue than all the other stuff is that it has made contact with the head.
Yeah.
Fogarty's okay. Played on, no issues, got up, remonstrated straight away.
Having seen a replay of it, I'd say fine at worst.
Yeah.
That one. There was another interesting moment, and I know this is sweating the small stuff that I saw here. Harley Reid might have been involved in it. The slide rule is fascinating to me because I saw tonight a Carlton player slid in and took out a West Coast player's feet but marked it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just one of the...
There was a couple tonight because of the conditions.
The conditions, yeah.
There was one down here with Harley and Jack Silvani at the end.
That's right.
So you can take the legs for a mark?
Yep. I think we accept now that we all look the other way with Mark.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because the other one is when you take a big... Well, I never did, but people take a big hang and lay their knee into the back of someone's head. Concussion's not a worry there in that situation.
You've been in
I've got a
photos
feeling
when
it
they've
was
happened,
Harley, and I think he was trying to get the free kick out of it, saying it was...
He might have tried to milk it a little bit.
Yeah, but the player took the mark, but hang on, he took my legs out, so...
Yeah.
I think we're all prepared that if you take a mark or you have a realistic attempt to take your mark,
you're allowed to slide into it.
We just look the other way. Because if we stop doing that, we've got that issue which we speak about every week. You can't take a flying mark and knee someone in the head with issues with concussion.
Having said that, he was pretty good, Harley, all round. He had 28 possessions tonight.
I thought he was very good.
I'm really pumped to hear from this man downstairs on debut. I speak of Tom McCarthy. He was only picked up out of the Richmond VFL side just a couple of weeks ago. He went at number 1 in the mid-season rookie draft by the West Coast Eagles, had 2 very impressive weeks in the WAFL, and he's had 31 disposals tonight, which was quite remarkable, and 29 of those were effective as well. And he's downstairs talking to Mitch Turner.
Here with Tom McCarthy, Eagles debutant. Tom, do you know that that's the most disposals on debut ever by a West Coast Eagle?
Wow, nah, that's the first I've heard of that. Someone mentioned on the ground how many I'd had, but I didn't feel like I had that many. I thought I was just playing my role, but that's actually a big honour for me. So yeah, very happy to hear that.
It was actually a massive roar that went around the ground when you got the 30 disposal mark. It went up on the big screen. It's the first time an Eagles had 30 disposals this year. What did it feel like, though, being out there after all the struggles and the journey you've had to finally play an AFL game?
Yeah, it's been an absolutely incredible journey, something I never thought I'd achieve. I know I've said it in the media before, but VFL I thought was probably my maximum and wasn't even probably performing to my best last year, and to get to this level now after the footy I've played this year is an absolute honour and a privilege to be here, and to debut was just another extra step, and mate, I'm absolutely over the moon to put on the Eagles colours today.
What was the biggest thing you noticed, I guess, being out there on an AFL field for the first time?
Yeah, look, that first quarter was really quick. That took me a lot to adjust. I remember I had a ground ball that I just missed because my feet were lost, and sort of got my head a little bit there, but then snapped back into the game, and the pace of the game as the game went on, I thought I adjusted really well. So, yeah, very different footy, but then again, footy's footy, so just play my game.
Talk us through taking the kickouts in your first game. That's a pretty big responsibility for a debutant.
Yeah, I got that duty during training, and look, the Eagles have been great. The coaches told me to back my skill in, and they really wanted me to take kickouts between me and Tyrell Dewar. And as the game went on, I think I took just more confident in my kicks, and they were confident in me taking them and taking the game on. So I really back in my skill, and I always have, and that's probably why I'm here today.
Who were the senior players, I guess, you looked around to in that back half? As a first game, you're probably at times just looking around for some instruction and making sure you're doing the right thing by your role. Who are you leaning on today?
Yeah, probably Liam Baker. I think he's probably the most senior head in that back line today. We were very young, so his voice is awesome for me today, and to sort of lean off him, being an ex-Richmond boy as well. Like I thought his experience, his leadership out there was awesome. So I just sort of lean off him.
Did you? I guess you're starting your first game. They come out and kick 7 in the first quarter. Were you just a little bit rattled at the start, thinking, gee, this is a good start by the Blues?
Yes. I'd be lying if I say I wasn't rattled. That was sort of a welcome AFL moment for me. I think we were getting pumped, and look, Blues credit, they were awesome in that first quarter, and there wasn't much we could do, but yeah, it was a big shock to the system, but I thought we bounced back really well, and I was really happy with how we played out the last 3 quarters.
What was the messaging, I guess, from the coaches? Have you spoken to many of the coaches since you've come from the ground, even just individually, about how the game went?
Yeah, I had the last 3 minutes on the bench, and they sort of just got around me and really encouraged me to keep taking the game on, and really happy with my debut. I haven't really spoken to any of the senior coaches yet, so hopefully they got some advice for me, and watch some clips during the week. There's always stuff to work on, so willing to learn. Speaking
of Eagles debutant, Tom McCarthy here, 31 disposals on debut, the most ever, I've been informed, by a West Coast Eagle. I've got to ask Oscar Allen, the captain, he went down in that final quarter. It didn't look great. It must be tough to see of a young player looking up to your captain.
Yeah, Oscar's been great in the last 2 weeks for me as well. His leadership, his talk, his encouragement. that definitely hurt to see him come off, and hopefully it's nothing serious for him, and yeah, wish him all the best.
Do any guys have an indication of what exactly went wrong there?
No, I didn't get to see the play where it happened, but I think it was something to do with his knee maybe, but yeah, it didn't look good hobbling off. I was on the bench when he came off, so yeah, just have to wrap my arms around him really.
You've got the bye coming up as well soon, so it must be a bit interesting. You play your first game, then you've got a bit of a pause as well.
Yeah. It's a bit annoying because I want to continue off that great footy, but yeah, we'll go into the bye week and I'll get a good rest, and I'll probably keep training, to be honest, just to keep the legs ticking.
Getting called into the meeting room, I don't want to keep you late. First game, don't want to get you in trouble, Tom. Congratulations. Unfortunate about the result, but well done on your first performance.
Thanks, Steve, mate. Appreciate the time.
Well done to Tom McCarthy. Good on Mitch Turner heading downstairs into the Eagles' rooms. The most disposals of any West Coast player this season, and a club record for most on debut, just weeks after joining the club. 31 disposals.
31, and he did have some kick-ins as well. 29 of those were effective disposals. So even if he did have the kick-ins, you're still doing okay to hit your targets almost every time.
And I wanted to ask you about that because people will, and I get it, because sometimes the kick-in, well, that's a bit of a cheap stat.
Yeah.
But to be given that role on debut when you're staring up, this is a massive step up from state league level. The expectation, the pressure that comes with all of that, that's a huge rap from the footy club.
It is. They've obviously liked what they've seen, both when he was playing at Richmond in the VFL with his ability to distribute the ball, but also at training to entrust him with that very important responsibility.
Well, he was cramping up towards the end, but he didn't seem to be running out of the game mid to late in the third quarter. He looked like on top of the ground, and he'd done a lot more work than some other players, so that's a good sign for him, and a good sign for all the AFL people at the VFL. This guy's come out of the VFL and not far out of the community footy as well, only a couple of years away, and got good work rate and good ethic.
And a little bit of acknowledgement, I think, both to Richmond's VFL program. They have produced a stack, and also Werribee are the other one. I think 6 or 7 players from memory have come out of the Werribee factory, so well done to those programs, doing a great job.
6 straight wins for the Blues against West Coast. They kicked 10 of the first 11 goals to set up their victory of 34 points over the Eagles in front of 43,803, but they were less than convincing.
It's a good crowd, isn't it, Clint?
It's a great crowd.
A bit of rain around just when some people were probably making the decision, shall I go, shall I not go, and then it was quite heavy.
I mean, let's face it, we've had 30-odd last night, so back-to-back 30-plus, 40-plus. It's great for Perth.
I still make the point for West Coast, who for a long period of time were regarded, the supporters, as the Chardonnay set. The fair weather supporters, and this is a club who tasted almost no success for 3.5 seasons. Was it 10? I think it's 10 wins in 3.5 seasons or thereabouts. 11 wins exactly.
Yeah,
and they're still getting crowds of 43,000 turning up in these conditions to watch their team.
And what do you think they would have thought of tonight? The effort. I mean, clearly super disappointed with the first quarter, and then again hanging your hat on the fight back of sorts and winning the last 3 quarters, and then I guess the debut of Tom McCarthy. You're thinking, okay, here's another player that could play a part in our future.
Well, 6 debutants now for West Coast this year. McCarthy's shown that he's been able to take the step, and they've had the 3 players who came in to add, and I think Liam Baker, for all the question marks about that trade, if Liam Baker's not in front of the Club Champion Award, the John Worsfold medal, I'll be absolutely...
Well, I can tell you the bloke that came with him wouldn't be far off him.
Baker Graham,
Jack Graham does exactly what he was doing at Richmond, but he had Dustin Martin and Cochin and all the stars around him. He just has a crack. And on top of the crowd, I mean, you got to remember only 10 or something days ago, Clint, you'd remember, we've had 58 here for the soccer, and we've got the State of Origin here on Wednesday night, is it?
Yes, and have some sympathy for those at the stadium.
They'll go close to 60 there. They're working real hard, these people.
And then everyone will turn up, and there'll be another 40,000 on Thursday
night, yeah.
So they've had 2 games across this weekend. Then they've got Origin, and you can actually see them now. They're starting to clean up the surface because they'll be having to put down the Origin for the rugby league. The lines and the markings will go out, and then they have to get rid of all that on Wednesday night to be ready for a Thursday game of footy. So, yeah, plenty of use of the stadium at the moment. Dan says, did Tom McCarthy have cramp or leather poisoning at the end of the game? And so much for the Chardonnay set. That was coined by Dockers fans. Surely you have to take that with a grain of salt. It wasn't just Dockers fans, I would say, that used the term Chardonnay set for West Coast. But their supporters have shown that that's just not true. They've turned up through Some very dark times, and they keep turning up. Credit to them. They stick fat by their team, the West Coast Eagles supporters. Another 43,803 in tonight. Here's a few interesting questions. Skinny in SA. As a Blues supporter, that feels like a loss. Comments, guys?
Both, Billy summed it up when you asked us what our thoughts were on the game. It was odd. There's no other way of describing it. I mean, if Carlton think they're a contender, you can't dish that up. It's become consistent. And West Coast just weren't good enough to put them away or catch up in the end and then put them away. But other clubs have. Richmond did. The 4 points at the start of the year is really haunting them against Richmond, but other teams have worked it out and they were lucky to get away with 4 points last week.
Also on the text line, 0437 774 774. Gents, get your money on the Roos next week. This is from a perplexed Carlton supporter group in Echuca. Terrible performance by the Baggers. And this is a Carlton fan saying this. We think they've got some serious toughness issues. Ripper call from the ABC as usual. Thanks for texting in.
I can get that. And look, North are going home. They would already be home, but they've had two pretty good weeks over here in Perth. West Coast aren't right up there, but they were gone and buried in that game and found a way to win. And they were gone and buried last night, Billy, and found a way to nearly pinch it. So they're going home with a bit of confidence and a little bit of swagger, and they won't be a pushover next Saturday at the MCG.
Psychology is such an important part of sport, isn't it? And I'm just thinking ahead to that game next week and, what Carlton might be thinking if they come in at quarter time and it's even, or they're behind North Melbourne, or, a narrow lead at that stage. You start thinking, the last couple of weeks we've relied on, having a big lead at this point in time.
And we just heard Nick Haynes say that they're not going to be together until Tuesday night.
We'll get the votes from Billy and from Muddy in just a moment, but let's have a little listen to Andrew McQualter, the West Coast Eagles coach.
We, when you lose contest by minus 20, too many fumbles, too many cough-ups, too many missed tackles, and Carlton's ability to get inside to outside was just elite. Quarter one, it is their strength. We saw it in Adelaide at round 5 and we planned really hard for it, but unfortunately we didn't get it done. And I think they put 7-4 on the scoreboard in quarter one, and we were on the back foot.
You were pretty strong in your words at quarter time on TV. Is that the first time you've given a big spray at quarter time? Is that what you did? Or?
No, it's not even about giving a big spray. So, the job of the coach, you actually got to. You can give a spray, that's fine, but you've got to give solutions or method to how you fix things. So we sort of spent some time talking about that, and understanding that effort, we can't accept that anymore. Like we can't put in quarters like that. I don't think we've done it for, I'm going to say 10 weeks now or whatever it's been. It's been a good chunk of time, and we just spoke about it as a group that there's a level you have to be able to compete at, and we weren't quite there in quarter one.
Obviously came off late. Do you have an injury update? We're not quite sure.
So we think it's not bad. We think it's not too bad. So we're still going to work through the details exactly, but we're hopeful that it's not serious.
Was it a calf or a hammy? Are you sure which one?
No, I'm not exactly sure. It's not a calf or a hammy, I don't think. I'm not exactly sure. It might be plantar fascia. Is that right, Belly? Or plantaris, right. So that's what we think at the moment, but we'll still work through the details and get a report early in the week and let you guys know.
It looked like... Do you know what happened? Because it seemed just so off the ball, and we didn't even see a replay. I don't think it even captured it.
Yeah, look, I didn't say replay. I think it's always concerning when someone goes down like that off the ball, but no, I don't know the exact details of it. Obviously saw him come off, and then our medical team just briefly said that we've avoided all the worst case scenarios and we'll work through what's next.
How much of a relief is that, knowing that a lot of the worst case scenarios probably look unlikely?
Oh, it's significant, because I think when you see a player go down, no contact off the ball like that, you think the worst. I think there's been a couple of cases of that this year, so fortunately he's avoided that.
Have you spoken to him about it since he's come on?
Yep, yeah, I saw him in the rooms just then.
What's he like in his spirits? I mean, obviously, he's had such a lengthy injury battle, but he's really found some form lately.
Yeah, look, he's okay. He was... Well, everyone that gets injured is a bit emotional, and that's just normal. And we lost a game of footy, but he's okay.
Harry Edwards as well, shoulder, and then did he hurt his hammy late as well?
Yeah, potentially. So he didn't come back on there late in the quarter. So I thought he competed. It's a super effort, that spoil there, where potentially he's hurt himself. So we'll go away and get scans and see where they are.
John McCarthy's debut, 31 touches, exceed expectations?
Look, yes, but in a way, no. He was exceptional. I thought that was a really impressive game. But to be fair, everything we've seen of Tom is that. Just unbelievably calm. Nothing flusters him. Clean with the ball. Works hard. Real shining light for us today.
Just back on the first quarter, Andrew, and the response after that. Do you feel like you got a response from what you worked through at quarter time?
Oh, there's no question. I think we were minus 20 quarter one and we were plus 12 for the rest of the game in contest. So we improved, which is good. You always want to be able to respond and be able to fix things mid-game. It was looking pretty ugly there. So that's a good piece for the players to show some grit and some leadership and adapt to the game. And funnily enough, a different phase of the game got away from us at times with Carlton's uncontested marks at different periods. But in the contest we improved.
It's Andrew McQualter, the press conference downstairs after West Coast went down to Carlton by 34 points tonight, 12-14-86 to the Blues 7-10-52. Dr. Google tells us that a plantaris injury is the plantaris muscle or tendon. It's a small muscle in the back of the lower leg. Injuries can often involve symptoms including a sudden pop or snapping sensation in the back of the calf and sharp stabbing pain in the calf with difficulty with walking, running or pushing off the foot. Recovery can take several weeks depending on the severity of the injury. These injuries typically occur during sudden, forceful movements like those in tennis or other sports, sometimes known as tennis leg. So if you didn't know what it was, which I'll confess I didn't, that's what the issue is.
Well,
Oscar Allen.
That'd be a huge relief. Obviously, no injury is good, but from what it looked like, and look, hearing Andrew McQualter then, we heard him say that the medical team has said we've avoided the worst case scenarios. So
I'm assuming I thought that was Achilles.
Yeah. So that's
soleus muscles, that one, isn't it, Billy? Just under the calf.
Yep.
It's next to it. The plantaris connects to the Achilles tendon as well, so that's why it can look like an Achilles. Because if you go any lower than that, then you will do an Achilles. But
he's running around like a beat-up old car at the moment anyway, Oscar, so it might be a good opportunity to say, let's just pack him in and get things right.
Let's get the votes, gents, in the ABC Footballer of the Year and the Christian Medal. Which way have you gone?
It was tough. I didn't think it was going to be tough at quarter time, but it ended up being pretty tough. So George Hewitt, 3. Look, he's won a lot of the footy, 35 touches, 7 clearances, 13 ground balls, the 4 tackles as well. He was getting the ball out to a lot of his teammates, and he was pretty consistent over the 4 quarters.
Particularly early when they were going, he was huge.
3 for Hewitt.
Okay.
2 for Mitch McGovern, which some might consider a bit left field, but he's kicked 3. He's had 4 score assists. I thought he was good aerially, good with his skills. And then brought his kids into the circle wearing West Coast jumpers. Well, half a West Coast jumper at the end.
That wasn't
and I've put Tom McCarthy in for 1.
There you go.
From West Coast. I mentioned the 29 of 31 effective disposals. Yes, some of those were kick-ins, absolutely, but it's still not an easy kick all the time in the kick-ins.
It was still a good effort to watch the way he played.
Clean on ground ball, understood the game. I thought impressive debut, so well done.
It's a shame we didn't get to speak to him because he would have liked to ask.
Sorry.
What we like in the first 25 minutes. The ball was coming in that quick. Nothing against you, Mitch. But would have been going over his head. He would have been thinking, wow, is it this quick all the time?
Just avoid
Hope it slows down.
Just trying to get out of the way of the bus.
So that's 3 votes for McCarthy in the Christian Medal, the 2 and the 1.
2, Harley Reid. There was a few spot fires and he'd had the angry pills again. There was a bit of everything. There are a couple of free kicks that he's given up that he shouldn't have. There are a couple of cough-ups, which is a little bit unusual, but something happens when he's around the ball, and most of it's pretty good.
But he ended up with 28 touches, so he just he doesn't lie down. He just keeps banging on, doing what Harley does.
And the 1?
Jack Graham, just for the grunt, the consistency, the tackles, a bit of everything from Jack. He had 9 ground balls, 7 tackles, some clearances, 24.
He just does what Jack does.
Yeah, Bailey J kicked the 3, so he could have been in there, I suppose. And then from a Carlton perspective, really liked Ollie Holland's game. He gives them a lot of run. Cherra's ended up with a lot of footy. Wiedering was really really good,
Solid.
really organised as well. So they're sort of the better players on the ground.
Give a pat them back to Ruben Jimby. He was just solid all night back down there.
Yep.
Under enormous pressure.
So 3 to Hewitt by George, 2 to Mitch McGovern, and then McCarthy of West Coast on debut picking up the 1 vote. What are the other numbers? Tell us, Mitch, before we wrap things up.
Just quickly, a couple of numbers. Eagles actually won the clearance count by 2. The Carlton Blues won the hitouts by 16. The inside 50 count was a bit more level in the end, 61 to 46. Carlton's way. The tackle count was the Blues' way as well, 58 to 41. Individually, Hewitt with 35. That's a George variety. Adam Chera, 30. Binns, 26. Wasn't even going to play this game. Came in for Walsh. 25 for Saad, 24 for Hollands. For the Eagles, as mentioned, McCarthy, 31, the most ever by an Eagle on debut. Harley Reid, 28. Tyrell Dewar, 27. Jack Graham, 24. And Liam Baker, 21. So there's some of those numbers for you. And by the way, Tom de Koning, 21 touches, 28 hitouts, 6 inside 50s and a goal. Pretty good night for him again.
Shout out to Rick, who's text saying thanks for your work tonight, everyone, especially Muddy's clarity on next week's games and the possibilities. And to Simon, great to hear a call where umpiring decisions weren't paramount in the discussion. Thank you, Simon, texting in from the York Peninsula.
Well,
appreciate everyone getting involved.
That's interesting. So I just noticed that. I forgot to mention half time. There was 27 free kicks at half time, I'm pretty sure, and there's only 37 for the game. And I forgot to mention, I thought there was 4 or 5 that I just thought you just could have easily let that go, but they pull them up, and then the dry weather came in and the game opens up and let it go.
So here are the results on Sunday of round 14. Carlton, 34-point winners over West Coast. Port Adelaide beat Melbourne by 25. We'll be back with you on Thursday, the blink of an eye, as Fremantle host Essendon to start round 15. Clint Wilden on behalf of the team signing off from Perth Stadium. Thanks for your company again on ABC Sport.
The Classic 100 Piano Highlights album is coming soon. 4 CDs of Australia's favourite piano music. Pre-order your copy now at abc.net.au/classic/shop.
ABC Sport Digital Radio, your home of NRL.
Welcome to The Saturday Draft with Johnny Manning and Joel Spreadborough on ABC Radio Brisbane and Queensland. Now we're talking.
11 on your Saturday morning. What a glorious time of week. My name's Joel Spreadborough. Johnny Manning, hello.
Jolie, how are you, buddy?
I think I've loved the ride of the Saturday Draft so far. Today, I might just be the most excited I've been, and that is saying something.
I've got to